Alright, here we go. There we are. Let's get in there. Howdy, Xavier. Been playing Monster Hunter Wilds and reached Oldfield. Oh, cool. So, how is Wilds playing? Because I've been hearing a lot of mixed things for the PC version specifically, and I kind of want to know how other people are having it. Because if there's actually so many optimization problems, I think I'm going to just skip it for 6 months. Which I really don't want to do. But, you know, I'm seeing the content drip also looks a bit on the slow side, so I think that might be a good idea. Also been hearing difficulty is somehow even less than World, which is wild to me. Playing PS5 version, it's fine. Yeah, but I don't want to play the PS5 version, that's the thing. Maybe I should. Maybe that's what I'm going to have to do. Right? That, or you know what? I'm going to just play World, you know? I might just play more World, because I never did finish off, like, World. Like, there was still a lot more I could do in there that I wanted to do, but, like, my, like I said, my system and stuff is reaching its limit on what I can do there, so, especially while streaming, so maybe I'll do that. Oh, that's, speaking of doing things, let's actually get myself inside my prawn suit. Bless me. Hello? Damn. I took 1 HP damage. Ay, ay, ay. I hope if there are lots of serious problems with the PC version, they do get fixed soon, though. Because I absolutely hate when we have PC problems. Okay, how much of this glass do we... Okay, there. We need titanium. Hey, Grim. I think your audio is too much on the quiet side of things, both your voice and your game audio, I mean. Well, I set it up so that way you guys can listen to it at max volume, right? Because I'm already at max on my side, right? Like, I can't actually physically bring it any higher. Also, yeah, good to see you. Hola. Yeah, it's all magic to me, so... I'd have to go in and try to, like, go into my systems and probably find other ways to do it. Like, I don't know, for example, if me adjusting this here changes that. Right? Like, I don't think anything I just did now changes that at all. Hello? Can I? Uh-oh, I don't think my thing's working, period. Uh-oh, I think the... Ah, there we go. There we go. Okay, it was just being unresponsive, that's all. Yeah, part of it could also be positioning with my mic and stuff, but... I think overall, it's just like, it's just how my setup is. I can't bring my OBS at least any higher. Maybe if I try to adjust it on the back end... Pay attention to the story in Monster Hunter? I'll be honest, I will be skipping. I have absolutely zero interest in any Monster Hunter story. I don't care. I'm there to kill monsters. That is the only thing I'm interested in. Let's see if I can... Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, wait a second. I'm not paused. 1 second. Hello? See, this is what messing with stuff after the stream starts does. It makes things even more of a pain. All right, let's... I am there to cause ecological damage. Just gonna skip right over childhood trauma. I don't care about your childhood trauma. It's a Monster Hunter game. Like, that's all I can say to it. It's like, it's a Monster Hunter game. Like, what more are you expecting? Okay. Okay, how's this, guys? Oh, no, do I have to hit apply first? Alright, I just doubled the microphone levels on the back end. So how's this? Oh, God, yeah. Oh, boy. I think this is causing me to peak, though, now. Yeah, this is causing me to peak. Yeah, okay. I have to bring it down now if I do that. Alright, how's that sound? I'm getting no response, so I'm hoping that means you guys can hear me, and you're totally okay with it. But somehow I have my doubts. Oh god, we need more glass. Okay. Didn't have that much on me. Ow! Oh boy. There we go. Doop-a-doo. I can hear you. Okay, so you guys can hear me. How are the audio levels sounding, though? Does it sound better, worse, quieter, louder? Again, just to get you guys, because it's the only thing I can think of that can adjust that at all. But I'm worried that might be causing peaking, so. Alright, so we got the stuff we have here, so we can move on and grab our quartz now. Oh god, I don't remember where quartz is. I think it's north. There we go. Monster Hunter has felt more and more like a Monster versus Hunter fighting game than it does a monster hunting game. I can see that, sure. I personally have been always fine with it. Like, I really liked how World handled scout flies and stuff, like you having to actually go out and find, you know, pieces of the monster and stuff, and use that to help you track it and things like that. I enjoyed that, because you're going to need an aid to help you, period. Because doing it without just makes it where you're basically running around like a chicken with a head cut off trying to fight anything, and that's just not fun, right? And overall, I think I like scout flies more than I like paintballs from the previous games, so. Maybe they could do something even better, but I don't know. I don't even have an idea how to begin with working on a system like that. Alright, so. There we go. When you meet a monster through the story and they're always on the map and the map automatically takes you to it. See, that I can see myself having problems with. Yeah, my biggest issue, though, has always been, I feel like monster difficulty just hasn't been scaling, especially with low range. I feel like they've been trying to dumb it down to make it easier and, like, more ridiculous, especially with, like, stunning monsters and things like that. And it's just becoming this thing where it's like, damn, like, it's absolutely zero fun. So yeah, I think I might just stick with World for the time being, since there's still so much content for me to do, and wait for them to come out with more optimization patches and a few extra DLC things for late game. Okay, that's where we get our lithium, but we don't need lithium right now. Okay, it's west. I think it's west that we're supposed to go, not north. I like the wound system, but it's definitely easier with it. Yeah, if the new system, I think, yeah, I feel like the new system with wounding is gonna be like flash bombs, where flash bombs were just stupid, and they need to be nerfed ridiculously, especially for G rank and stuff. Even then, they were still, I think, too strong. Again, in general, I'm happy that Monster Hunter has caught on, and you can probably fault that in part on some of the accessibility stuff, though personally I think it's more so because it finally got off of handhelds, right? I think that was the big limiting factor, was handhelds you know, it was the Japan audience, but, you know, not so much the Western audience by comparison. They were always console gamers, right? I think that probably played a bigger role, as well as, you know, the graphics and stuff. But, like, I'm very happy with, like, you know, with some of the systems they did, but not all of them. Ah, damn. I think we have to go deeper. Damn, yeah. Hey, I am. How you doing? Oh, oh, God, I haven't been here yet. Ah, crap. Ah, crap. I don't remember what was here, so I don't know if this is a good place to be trying to farm stuff or not. I vaguely recall maybe there's titanium just beyond this forest. How's the agenda today? We're looking for glass. We're looking for glass and for... Woo! For titanium. You're insanely hungry? Have you eaten yet, I am? You should make yourself food if not. It's very important you eat. Yeah, I'm really concerned about the performance, though, more than anything, right? Like, it doesn't matter how good or bad the new Monster Hunter game is if I can't actually play it, so... I hope the PC stuff gets all worked out. It's kind of ridiculous that we're living in an era where all these games come out, and it seems like it's every AAA game now just comes out with, like, crazy performance problems on PC. I have no idea where I'm going anymore. Implying that I ever knew where I was going to begin with. Alright, there it is. There's our blood kelp forest. Let's put this in here. Oh god, please tell me I emptied this before. Yeah, okay, we did. I was like, if I left stuff in here before we left, I was gonna be super pissed. I won't be playing Wilds until I finished Rise. That'd be fair. I'm personally skipping Rise. How would you rate it though, I am? Would you say it's pretty good, or you think it's more like, you know, it's just the thing to hold you over until the next big Mon Hun game? The answer is always the money people. I definitely think that's true, but I think it's also true that there's a lot of problems with developers. I think there's a lot of lead developers specifically. I think a lot of them just don't know how to budget their money or time that they're given, right? There's always this idea that you have to go bigger and larger in doing so, right? And we get these games that have like these bloated budgets that have like these giant overwhelming scopes, right? You see that to an extent with some of the live service stuff too, where it's like, okay, some of it's definitely some of it's definitely on the producer side. Like, why the hell are you trying to make every goddamn franchise you have into a, what's it called, a live service game? Like, wasn't it they had Bluepoint working on like a God of War live service or something like that? Like, what a dumb idea! Imagine buying Bluepoint, like the premier remake studio, and then you have them work as their first brand new IP, a live service title that has nothing to do with any of the remakes they've worked on. Like, what the hell? It's very good, not as good as World, but very enjoyable. What would you say makes it a downgrade from World? Do you think it's just because, like, it doesn't have that same level of, like, ecological, like, immersion and depth and stuff? Because that's something I really liked about World. It's something I've always liked about Monster Hunter, is how it has always approached authenticity with their you know, boss enemies, essentially, right? And honestly, just their general enemies, like even the smaller monsters and ecologies and all that, right? I think World peaked with that. Has very interesting mechanics. Oh, that's cool. Uh-oh. Where are the... Oh, there you are, stupid crab. Alright, I think I'm getting a little far, so I think we should head back. I say that, and yet I keep going farther. Why am I like this, chat? Say, Xavier, do they still do, in Wilds, do they still do the, what do they call it? The, Turf Wars? Is that still a thing? I love that in World. I hope they bring that back. I hope they built on it, too. god, there's more stuff I missed. Holy hell, you don't realize how freaking... Yeah, you don't realize how freaking low you get. Until you're trying to climb the way back up on a sea glide.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Hello? There we go. I was like, how dare you not let me get that quartz? I can't tell yet, but I think it's good in terms of that stuff. It doesn't look as good as World, but the design of the map is very open. That's good. Open maps are always good. I do like the expansiveness that World was bringing, and I hope they continue to do that with Wilds. I think they do. I haven't been paying attention in fights, just been in Kilma. I see. Xavier also just wants to murder the Monhun. And yet he says he is paying attention to the story. Truly, a killer with a heart of gold. Oh. Okay, I think I've stripped this area dry. You can climb high cliffs and mount a big dog for traversing the map. What do you mean by climb high cliffs? Because you could always do that in the past games too. Do you mean like you can like, I don't know, like Spider-Man your way up stuff more? Because you can kind of do that in World, though it was sometimes a little awkward. Yeah, I remember there being a dog in the game as well, but I think in Wilds they're doing like a lizard dino thing instead, right? I remember it being like a kind of like a flying like dino. Well, she is. I'll be honest, this place looks pretty nice, honestly, when there's actual sunlight. I am. Xavier's owning it. Good, very good. Are you guys excited for what Wilds is going to come out with for monsters in the future? Because I remember seeing from the trailers and stuff that they were adding more variety, right? They were including the spider types, they were including more of the monkeys. So I'm very happy about that, because World did have that problem where they were relying on a very limited number of skeletons that they brought over, right? In order to bring over a lot of the like basic essentials. I actually don't even know if they brought back Teostra or Kushala or the Kushala or, you know, all that. You'll be skipping a lot of cutscenes, by the way. World was such a resident sleeper, like their piss poor attempt to try to have a story. I'm sure that they got that feedback, and they were, along with, you know, all the complaints about how they completely butchered, you know, weapon design. And we're trying to work on fixing that, but my god. Just because you make all the characters hot doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to actually have giving two hoots about what's always been the same thing for every Monster Hunter title. Oh no, there's a problem happening. Oh my god, it's because of this crazy dangerous monster. You gotta go kill it. Okay, we gotta kill a bunch of other monsters before we can find it. There's a bunch of smaller problems we also need you to solve. Yay, right? Maybe I'll eat crow, and I'll actually find myself legitimately happy with it, but I'll be honest, I just am... I'm definitely going in with absolutely zero attention being put into it. They're really gonna have to... Oh, wow, look at that. Leviathan over there. That's scary. Ah! Did that take away some power from my prawn suit? I wasn't paying attention. Oh, do I want to know? I'm gonna regret this, chat, but we'll do it. Goodbye. Despite the trauma, I'll always look back on my experiences here with great fondness and love. Another thermoblade. Oh, a repulsion cannon. I don't think I have one of those yet. So that's actually useful. I don't know that much about monsters in Monhun, but if there's a lot, that's good. A big lava Godzilla, shake my head. Oh my god, freaking, what was that? What was it? Not Brachiosaurus or something. Not Volganos. I think it's the Japanese name I just called, actually, for Lava Sea Authorite or something. Who pays attention to the story in Monster Hunter game? That's what I'm saying! The Apex monsters are cool. Yeah, usually the cover art monsters are really neat. And some of the Elder Dragons are always pretty cool. I'm trying to think. What is that one? What was that? He's such a forgettable monster. Honestly, the oversized giant, like Godzilla-sized ones have always been the weakest ones in the series. It's always been that way. They've never come out with a very good version of, like, freaking Lao Shan Lung or whatever it was. Oh god. You know what? You know what? I'm going this way. I can't wait till we're doing, like, explorations through your chat and I randomly come across, like, a giant pile of quartz from when I died last stream. I can't wait for that to happen. Also, I can't wait to actually figure out where the hell there. Okay. 1,500 meters away! Oh, God. Building a base here is going to take some time, chat. Yeah, I'm sure. God. Woo! Yay! Oh, God. Come on, land me. Land me right here. Yeah. There we go. Honestly, best part about Monster Hunter is using the big hammer for bonking. I've never been a hammer bro, but I can see the appeal. I have always preferred longsword, sword and shield, dual blades. That's always been my jive. How's the parries and stuff, by the way, for Wilds? Alright, didn't they add, like, a parry mechanic or something? My biggest concern is that Monster Hunter is going to, like, lose some of its identity because they're adding lock-ons and parries and, you know, things like that. It's going to start feeling like every other action game instead of, you know, Monster Hunter. Really love the Charge Blade in Wilds. Oh, cool. Did they rework its moveset or stuff? I actually don't know how radically, like, the gameplay is compared to World or past games. I remember them adding so many new mechanics, but I'm like, you know, that could mean anything, honestly. All right, I'm about to die of dehydration. Uh-huh. It's cool, but it's hard for me to do. I see. That's good, at least. That tells you at least there's at least some skill involved. It's not like, you know, piss poor easy or something, you know? I can appreciate that. Like I said, I'm hearing that a lot. I'm hearing a lot of negative things about the difficulty and stuff, and my biggest hope is that, again, that's something that they can fix in, like, a patch or two to help, like, bring things so that way you don't have the new mechanics completely trivializing the monsters. Yeah, I'm aware, I'm aware.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Yeah, I know, I know. Oh. I have a problem, chat. I just realized I have a problem. Anyone want to guess what my problem is, chat? Anyone in the class want to speak up? And notice what Mr. Loki has overlooked for this lesson? He's hungry. No, it's not that I'm hungry. Woo! I had a full. I left my. I had too much inventory space. I could not. I couldn't take up my water. Imagine dying of thirst in the ocean. Well, at least it's inside my own base, so I don't lose anything for it. But it's like, oh well. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, wow. Yeah, not that much space, unfortunately. Oh, we lost some here. Alright, so we're gonna have to come back here. First things first. Let's have a look-see. Honestly, I need to also set up food in this area too, honestly. So yeah, we want to finish that and then build a ladder here. God. It's beautiful. Alright, let's go back. Let's go back and have a sleep. Let's have our power recharge. I'm in the beginning. I'm not too familiar with Monster Hunter to comment on difficulty, unfortunately. Yeah, again, part of it is just, you know, you as a player getting better. It's like Souls games, right? Like, at some point, you know, the games will never be as difficult for you again because you already know the basics. You already understand kind of the fundamentals and what you have to do, right? Oh, whoops, I didn't need to buy that. I didn't need to do that. I'll come back for this later. Again, we have more stuff we need to break down. I think it's more important for me that I get it back to daytime. In World, I literally couldn't figure out how to use the weapon, really, for the Charge Blade. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, the thing with, the thing for me was that I skipped over the games with Charge Blade and the Switch Axe. So those were never, like, you know, those weren't my generation, as it were, right? Like, for me, like my like, some of my favorite of the franchise before I had to take a break for various reasons, was, yeah, I think if I recall correctly, I stopped with Monster Hunter Freedom United. Yeah, Monster Hunter FU, yeah.
I will say I do have some negative feelings with the game going into more open space and mountains as it affects harvesting exploration. Really? I would like it. I would hope there's a mix of open and restrained. Like, if they do a forest area, I'd like the forest area to feel more claustrophobic. Technically, the first one I played was on the DS/3DS era. Ah, I see. For me, it's always funny because I'm like, God, there's people who started this franchise with, like, Tri on the Wii. Or was it Wii? No, it was definitely Wii. And I'm just like, wow. Like, that must be an experience. Like, I can't even imagine that. Oh, right, you're not here. Oopsie. Yeah, we're good. Yay! I love all the bulkheads and stuff that I have here. You only lightly touched it as a kid, though. Oh, yeah, that makes sense to me. Hey! Get away from my glass! Stop you peeping! Peeping Toms, chat. Peeping. Oh my god. I just realized I have the repulsion can. I need to put that thing back. I'm wasting precious daylight! Alright, let's do this. Let's do this proper. So that's the MISC. This is the equipment. We put the repulsion cannon in there. Because it, like the propulsion cannon, could be useful. We'll put the thermoblade in there. Though, I'll be honest, I could probably throw out these thermoblades. I don't need this many. I have way too many thermoblades right now. I guess this is the one that I... Yeah, it says the ion battery, so it's the good one. I only keep these things in case I do something stupid, like accidentally drop it somewhere, or, like, you know, somehow die and lose it, or what have you, right? It's the only reason. Yeah, the main thing is that harvesting feels immensely less satisfying because it's not as slow. It's not as slow, most felt in the mining, since it doesn't have the satisfying dink, dink, dink with each harvest. Oh! As in, it's even faster than in World? Because World really sped it up. You're telling me they made that even faster? That's wild. That's wild. I don't know how I feel about that, then. I'd have to see it for myself, probably. But if they're just making harvesting just not feel involved at all, yeah, I'm gonna complain about that. Again, I do feel like there's a bit of Monster Hunter losing their identity when you do something like that. All right, let's do some glass. Actually, I can do this. I can move the prawn suit while we do that. Yeah, Wilds is just one swing full of a Geo, then you just grab one fistful for each harvest. Ooh. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that just doesn't feel, you know, it doesn't have that, you know, ding, 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 aha, right? It just, I imagine something more like ding, ho, right? Also, they took out Monster Hunter language, which I'm just saying, God. Again, no offense to the English VA teams or any of the people that do so. I don't care for your story, and I'm not listening to all of you, try to, you know, sell me on it, even with your, acting when it's superb. It makes me just be like, listen, let me just hear the nonsense. Let me just hear the nonsense language. You can grab almost everything with the grapple hook. I think that is okay. I think that is okay, right? Wookie wants Simlish back. It was such a weird thing. It was like it was kind of Japanese, but it was kind of like, I don't know, like Swedish or something. Like it was just a very bizarre. It was a bizarre and yet surprisingly pleasant to listen to, like, you know, bunch of nonsense. I truly have a soft spot for the Monster Hunter gibberish. All I will say is, I don't know what they were thinking making the cats talk. Reminds me of the fake French in Gravity Rush. Oh god, it's been so long since I've even seen any of Gravity Rush. I actually don't remember. God, I have to listen to that again. God, we're gonna be here. We're gonna be here forever, chat. We got 1,000 meters to go. Gravity Rush rocks. Yeah, it was a cool series. And now, wasn't that a Sony one too? Weren't Sony the ones who were like, "Oh, we have no IPs. Woe is us. We have the most sold console, and we've absolutely dominated the war, and yet somehow we can't manage to sell any unique games on it." Truly, it's a mystery for the ages. Don't worry, I'm sure they'll figure it out after they greenlight their, like, 10th live service title. Yeah, I very immaturely want a third one. I don't think it's immature to want more of a series or franchise you love, right? I'll be honest, I do think the problem, though, is that developers and game companies and everything, they need to figure out how to get their development stuff under wraps and efficiently. Because they're just, like, pissing money to the wind on, like, bad ideas, bad projects, and bad bloated development costs for them. And it just makes the return on investment just way too damn high. It's absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. I don't know how they can justify the bullshit. There we go. I meant it as it's very unlikely to happen. Yeah, of course it's very unlikely to happen, but I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting it, even if you think it's unlikely, right? Like, I would love another Sly Cooper. I don't think it's ever happening, I'll be honest. I think Thieves of Time was a misstep in many ways. I think it had good ideas, but I think it was definitely it definitely had a lot of bad ones to go with it. So I think that franchise is dead in the water, but I would love if they came up with a new one. I just don't know why they've been so averse to bringing back Clockwork, even though he's the natural enemy, especially when they were doing a time travel plot. It's like, that's the one you want to do. And maybe the idea is, oh, we want to have closure on that stuff and everything like that. It's like, no, that's what makes Clockwork such a great villain, is that existential horror of, like, the pure, like, you can't get rid of him, right? Alright. We'll do this and then we're done. So stuff like that kind of bugs me a little. But I'm still gonna hope for it, because you know what? It's still Sly Cooper, and I would love for them to come out with a good Sly Cooper game. You know, it's another franchise I'd love to see again, Soul Cal, but I don't think that's happening. I think Soul Cal 6 might be their last swan song. It's gonna make me sad, because I've always loved the universe of Soul Calibur, and the lore and all that stuff that goes with it, but, like, I just don't think... Yeah, we're good. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Kind of like Ridley. Is it pronounced Ridley or Ridley? Always returning from nowhere in Metroid games. He's just really cool.
Well, for me, yeah, for me, here's the thing. I've always said the problem is never quote unquote fan service. The problem is, does the fan service have a point or a justification to it, right? If the justification is blatantly just we want to bring this character back, so we're just like, you know, come up with any excuse to do so, then yeah, I think that could be a problem. I think that doesn't serve or help anybody, right? But I think a lot of the times there's really good reasons or justifications for the fan service. And really the question is just, is the overall writing, you know, going to be supporting having those types of characters and stuff included in things? God, it's gonna be take us 5 minutes of us waiting soon, Jeff, for us. By the time we get over to the island, it's gonna be like an experience, I can promise. How close are we to fit? Oh yeah, we're still above 100. We're good. We are getting to the point though where we need to start considering adding more reinforcements to the hull and stuff though. Gosh, dude. I will say I am glad to be back to doing this for Comfy and stuff because we're like, as far as like Elden Ring and stuff is concerned, pretty much at a stand. I'm pretty much like I have everything I want for the time being. It's just a matter of me pumping out content. Bloodborne, I'm pretty much good at. I'm gonna try to work on more Bloodborne stuff this weekend. DS2, like I said, we're making good progress. I need to start working on Melfia and stuff, so I can kind of wrap up all the side stuff, and then I can focus on the big boy, which is Alkin and Ven, doing the update for that. And then everything will be good. Oh, do I have to? Please don't somehow cause problems. Please don't somehow cause problems. Please don't somehow cause problems. No, there's still one here. Okay. Cool. Alright, this is gonna be neat. We have a quartz, so let's do that. The excuse in the vaguely canon mod is that it's very slow immortal regeneration can come back as long as one cell survives. I think stuff like that is fine. I think that's a cool justification and stuff like that, right? Especially in a sci-fi setting. Really? Oh god, I'm out of glass, like completely. I thought I had at least one. Uh-huh. There we go. Yeah, and then you have the cybernetics, right, to help supplement. Yeah, see again, stuff like that. Again, there's that's the kind of thing where it works, especially when you're working in like sci-fi, where you have like magical, you know, magical tech bullshit in order to justify those types of things, right? It just needs to be something that is well reasoned within the context of the setting, right? Like for example, Bhatti and I actually had a conversation, earlier before stream. We were discussing about stuff like the datings for the Liurnian Wars and things like that. Oh! There we go.
Anyway, so we were talking about stuff like the dating of the Lyrian Wars and things like that, right? And that was sort of like a lot of where like we boiled down to on our differences, because obviously you guys know what I stand from when he put out that video and stuff, and he thinks Lyrian Wars took place before Mesmer's Crusade. Obviously, I think the exact opposite. I think that's incredible. I think it's ignoring a lot of things, right? But a lot of us is basically trying to argue, it's like, okay, what's the justification for, why, X or Y is happening here or there? Does that make sense in the circumstance, the chances, right? Like, first, I think the fact that he also wants to put Radon there is also going to cause I think this is going to cause so many problems with him down the line. I think he's eventually going to realize that it's just unworkable. But again, it's one of those things where, again, if you can make the justification for it, then hey, it works. It works. That's all that really matters. I don't know what Vati's cooking, by the way, chat, but I think it's going to be something real good, too, so I'm looking forward to whatever his next video is. Casual timeline conversation. Yeah, casual timeline conversation, right? Well, it kind of spiraled because we were talking about something else, and then, like, it kind of... As I feel like most conversations about lore with me, it inevitably is going to go in different directions. Because Vati likes probing my thoughts on a lot of things, right? Like, he'll be asked about this or that or whatever, right? It's one thing I think is one of Vati's greatest strengths, is he is someone who quite legitimately will try to probe for to more so get a sense of things, right? He's very good at that. I very much feel like he could have been a radio, a radio guy in another life. Between his voice and that talent of his. Trying to see if there's anything I really want to do besides, obviously, this I would like to have. I'd like to have reinforced that. Alright. Overall, no, let's go to the dock first.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
It's better if I go to the dock. I love these docks. Bless me. Alright, so I want 4 in total, I think I count. But yeah, I much prefer... I much prefer, talking with other content creators when they want to, they want my thoughts, I want to hear their thoughts, right? Just so I can get a sense of where they're coming from, right? What would be next for him? Like, he's done Hornsent, Dragons, and I think the Crusade. I feel like he could probably cover maybe more stuff on the Crusade and things. I would love for, personally, me, I would love for him to properly cover Banished Knights and stuff. I still think the farm colonists have been getting a pretty bad shake. I would love more from him on that. Honestly, I'll take any content creator who will do more on that. I just think it is such a underappreciated part of the timeline. So underappreciated. Considering it's very important for framing events. What does he think of Banished Knights? I honestly don't know. Like, maybe we've talked about it in the past, but I don't remember. So, like, I legitimately don't know where he stands on stuff. But I feel like a lot of people, they look at the item descriptions and they don't try to then think about, like, okay, these are events that sequence and happens and there's cause and effect and things like that. So, like, I sometimes see, like, weird timeline things that obviously I wouldn't agree with. I'm like, no, you can't have, like, the Morn Hero event happening, like, at the beginning of, like, Godfrey's, like, story there, because you're, like, throwing him all the way in the Weeping Peninsula when he's still doing shit up in Altus. Like, this man's not growing cross-country. Most people see them as random enemy knights. Yeah, that you know, that personally disappoints me because I think that there's just so much there, it's just not stated, right? And that's the problem. I think if it's not something that's stated in an item description as a thing, and actually I talked about this with Vati and stuff, like one thing he was like, you know, I would think that would be mentioned, but he's like, but these is, you know, it's from soft games, so who knows? And that's sort of a point where I think that needs to be acknowledged, is like, a lot of the lore, like, the good lore, isn't in the text most of the time. It's usually something that's purely in the environmental storytelling, or it's some natural extension of what the text is stating, right? Like, it's the direct implication of, okay, well, you say that, how does that work, right? And that's where I think most of the good lore is, in my opinion, when it comes to these games, right? Because a lot of the stuff that says in the text, it's usually just basic skeletal framework. Oh, there's a war that happened here, right? Okay, well, why did the war happen? At what period is happening the war? What was going on at the same time as the war? That's where the interesting stuff is, and that's usually what the text won't talk about, right? I do want to get some lead, at least so we can do... Is it here? God, where did I put the lead? Oh, I think it's in here. Yeah, okay. No, lithium, not lead. Damn! Damn, I insulted poor ol' lithium like that. Well, that's just an excuse for bad lore, Loki. Yes, but you have to... Here's the thing. I have no problem with people making conjectures and stuff, right? It's just that you have to, like... Obviously, the goal would be... The aim is to get them right, right? Like, for example... I'm very happy with the DLC... the only two major misses that I really had was the exact origins of the Erd Tree, right? And the I don't think I'd say it like this, but, you know, the origins essentially of Marika, right? Like, obviously there's probably more to that than just that, but, like, talking about, like, in terms of, like, you know, I didn't have random village on the chunk of the lands between that got whisked off into another dimension on my bingo card when doing the analysis, you know? And I'll happily take that L, right? Because I don't think anyone was making that argument, right? I think the closest you could get is maybe people would be saying, oh, you know, she came from the stars, right? So I guess she technically came from another dimension, right? She technically came from a place that's in another dimension. No, I mean that people think you're just making things up when there's nothing there. People are entitled to think that. That's fine, right? And then something like the DLC comes out and either says something explicitly or is completely, you know, in line with the past implications, and then I just have a smile on my face. Matters not to me. Alright, let's see there. Alright, looks like we're pretty balanced on the bioreactor, so I think we're running off of purely... I think we're at the point now where we're running off of solar power. So I'm pretty happy with that. So now it's just a matter of getting some of these things in here. Do I want to put glass here? Nah. Alright, chat. It's time. We're gonna put more reinforcements here. Yeah, Dragonlord DLC was great. It's so great. Like, oh my god. It is so good. Because one of those things where it's like, yes, I see it. I see all the pieces there, and I could have seen how you could have construed and arranged it before it was actually told to you, right? Like, I could see the vision, as it were, right? And it was one of those things where, like, it felt so good for me, personally, where I have this Ancient Dragon War. I peg the timeline. I pretty much pegged the conclusion. I did work on, like, the exact causes for the meteor during working on the thesis. But I generally, like, had it all sort of worked out where it fits in the timeline, how it fits, where it goes, what's going on there, who are the players, why are they involved, etc., right? I've got all that involved, right? But I couldn't figure out, I'm like, okay, like where is Grayol and X-Ikes and all those guys? Where are they factor? Like I'm not seeing how they factor into this, right? And I was thinking about doing analysis that would like try to include them, like maybe they were there, right? But the most I think I ever included in the final analysis was something like, maybe they were somewhere in the. Okay, cool. We have nothing left here, so that means we can go off and get more Titanite without a care in the world, right? So I'm like, okay, well maybe like they were, somehow, involved in the Caelid, they were in the Caelid fields or whatever, and that's why Godfrey and company seem to be discouraged from doing the Millennium strategy and just screw the highway, we're gonna take the fields and things like that. Like, there's a bunch of strategical reasons that can go into that, right? And I was thinking that could be one of them. And that may still be true, but now we know it's in the context of, well, Grayol and X-Ikes were on the same side as the Banished Knights. X-Ikes isn't trying to, he's not standing by the church because, he wants to preserve one last, remnant of that old culture or whatever. It's because he wants to make sure that nobody comes back to revive it. Which, hey, you're doing a terrible job, dude. Some Banished Knights slip past you. Wait, do you think the Omen killer masks are Hornsent faces the Omen see in their nightmares since they're cursed by the Hornsent? They could be. I don't think that's an absurd notion to take. I wouldn't know for sure, because then the question would be, well, what about the spirits then that the Hornsent have, right? Because don't they also have spirits, which they could summon as vengeful spirits with one of their talismans, right? So I would want to have that question answered for me before I commit to something like that. But I don't think it's absurd to think that the spirits that could have cursed the Erdtree faithful into becoming Omen children were possibly some spirits of the Hornsent. Again, it really comes down to how do curses work in this universe, right? Like, what exactly constitutes as curse? Is it just negative emotions and stuff? Is there more to it than that? Is it like Dark Souls, where there's like it's kind of like very expansive and broad, or is it very actually narrowly tailored, where it's like, okay, it's this exact thing done through these exact methods, etc. Okay, we want more glass. We want more reinforcements. Okay. I know what I must do. The only thing I want to do right now is to get me a bottle of water in advance, because I know I'm going to need it, right? I want one bottle of water so we can try to have it so we can last until I fill up on everything. Let us go back to getting more glass and titanium. As I think we might need the titanium more, because we are at the 100 mark, and that's going to disappear real quick as we continue building out the glass. Oh, cool! I also want to have a dock by the Aurora. That'd be neat. But yeah, we need to work our way out first. I do wish I knew just how long one of these tubes are, so I could estimate better how far we are from the alien island. It's really hard, as is, to get an idea. The Hornsent participating in Deathbird culture is cool. I think it's fine. I think it's, like, I don't have strong opinions for it either way, but I think it's fine. Like, I think it's a nice little detail. Again, I'm more interested in, again, now that we have the extra context and stuff, again, for the purposes of reworking Erdtree's beginning, I'm interested in potentially actually diving into Deathbird culture and talking about it. We want
want to go west, right? So we want to go this way. There we go. Ah, damn, we're losing momentum. Still kind of sad we never got that Twin Bird boss. I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. Again, I think, like, facing outer gods and stuff, I feel like that's just, like, that'd be just way too above our pay grade, personally. I guess it depends on if you consider, like, stuff like the Serpent and Outer God or whatever, right? Yeah, there's so much in the world of Elden Ring still to like go through and dissect. Technically, we fight the God of Rot. Oh god. Was I wrong to go west? Technically, we fight the God of Rot through Melania. Yeah, but you know, I think the fact that God of Rot keeps blooming tells us that we're never, you know, it's not like God of Rot's dead, right? I guess you could make an argument that maybe we could fight instead of the Twin Bird per se, but like some entity that the Twin Bird possesses or something, assuming that the Twin Bird is still alive. I'm still skeptical on that front. I personally think the snake probably ate it. I think Mama Birdie's probably, yes, I think she's probably in the gut of a snake on Gelmir. I think she got digested. Ah, oh, shit. I have no idea where I am, chat. Oh. I'm fighting Quartz, though, so that's good. God, this is all nighttime. Oh, I just assumed Twin Bird was like the Scorpion God of Rot in like an Avatar. Yeah, I think that's a fair... Ooh, that's a lot of quartz. Yeah, I think that's a fair... I think it's a fair way to look at it. But then I guess the question would have to be... If it's just an Avatar... then where is the god behind the avatar, right? We don't seem to see that god making any major moves unless we're trying to take Godwyn's curse brand, which again, I still am not, because the curse brand has to be physically made by Ranni and the assassins on both herself and Godwyn's body, so I don't know if that could really be said like, oh yeah, the god of death is making a move. It'd be funny if there's no god of death because it'd be as soulless as everything else. Am I using an ion battery? Where is it? Maybe it's just me, chat, but I feel like I'm using... ion-powered power cells? I feel like that's what I might need to get next. Because I feel like I'm going through power so fast with these things. You know? God of Death needs to fix the bug in the code that allows Deathblade to exist. Instructions unclear. Propagating more skeletons that live in death. Oh, God. This shit again. Really? It truly boggles my mind on what this game will consider a surface I can latch onto in time and what it doesn't. Oh, God. Can it stop being nighttime, please? There we go. Yeah. One thing that I'm disappointed about though is that I wasn't able to get the Carian thesis done this month. I really, really wanted to have it done by the end of February, right? So I am gonna try to slow things down, right? Because I was starting to like, you know, burn myself trying to like really get this done before the month ended, right? And obviously, because it's February, month's ending a bit earlier than I think I was able to account for. But it also feels good because there's a few things I want to edit and change up now, because of some of the stuff that you guys have said the last few streams, and also some things I noticed. Like, for example, I was trying to work on the Primeval Current stuff. I was working on trying to, you know, look into why Azur and Lusat were getting exiled for Primeval Sorcerers, right? Because, you know, Zelen, you know, she's accused of, like, killing people, so were Azur and Lusat also on that there? Or is it just kind of like a principle thing of, well, you know, you're practicing this Primeval Sorcery thing, but we, you know, we think it's dangerous or what have you, right? So I'm trying to find an answer. I was thinking, okay, well, maybe they're behind the first quote-unquote Nightmare of the Academy and stuff, right? The Graven Mass talisman talks about this, right? Now, the problem is that Sorcerer Mass talisman is actually a very deliberate word choice because Selen's title isn't the Graven Witch, it's the Mass Witch, right? As in same mass as, again, the mass of sorcerers that the talisman depicting the first is talking about, right? So it seems pretty clear cut that Selen is, and everything else talked about it, like Jaren talked about, is like the worst disaster in Raya Lucari's history and all that stuff. Like, it seems pretty clear cut that as far as like sorcery balls in the modern, maybe they existed. Like, you know, you could argue that probably maybe someone existed on them independently, you know, before the Academy's time. But as far as like the Academy's concerned and its history and all the, okay, good. I was like, I think I got myself stuck. As far as all that's concerned, it's Selen who, like, invents the first sorcery ball, which makes sense now, because it goes back to the point that you had made the other stream, Xavier, about her portrait being hung up on that thing. Again, I don't think that's actually supposed to be, like, you know, her handiwork or anything. I think it's very clearly from the page and stuff supposed to be a fundamentalist's work. But, and fundamentalist who specifically was at the Hermit Village with Azur beforehand. Right? But what I think happened is that you know, Selen becomes essentially the mother of you know, primeval sorcery when it comes to the sorcery balls, right? So when it comes to the Graven schools and all that stuff, you know, all of them are taking inspiration from her, right?
Which I think why we see that one portrait kind of giving on, where it's like, oh, I hear, you know, I was going here to do some primeval sorcery. Oh, primeval sorcery's kind of like, you know, on the down low. You're not supposed to be doing it, right? Oh, there's this witch who did this thing or whatever. Well, you know, I want to kind of do that, right? So I'm going to hang up her portrait as I do some experiments on some of my fellow sorcerers, right? Yeah, she's the Graven Witch to make the match with the Graven Schools. Yeah, but you could make an argument. Yeah, but the thing is, with the English, you could argue it could be any Graven School. Because they use the term Graven, which is the prefix, so you have Graven Schools and Graven Masses. But what I'm trying to say is that her her title as a witch isn't that she's the Graven Witch, she's the Mass Witch, right? So it'd be like if she was called the School Witch, if the localization was being consistent, right? If they want to associate with her with the Graven Schools or sorcerer balls of sorcerers, versus the masses of sorcerers, which is supposed to be like the extra biggie, the extra complicated, the extra, you know, the first and probably the most advanced or powerful or whatever, right? And it's something that's what Selene created at the Academy before she got exiled. So that's where I'm like, damn, I don't think I can make the sorcerer. I can't like connect the Graven Mass to Azur and Lusat. It has to be with everything, like, especially with, like, people like Jared talk about as, like, the worst incident. You can't attribute that to Azur or Lusat, especially with the names in the Japanese text are, like, very clearly, like, it's very clear what's being conveyed there, right? Ah, we're not even close, man. I guess we can look for more Titanite in the meantime. And what I think, I've already done the rewriting for the witches section. I think if I'm gonna have to look at anything, it might be Primal Glintstone Hearts. That might be simply, oh cool, we're back here. I wasn't expecting that. Neat. We're actually closer than I thought we were. Okay. Okay. God, I missed. There we go. Probably where the Witch Conspectus people went. Yeah, as I've said before, I don't think there was a Witch Conspectus. There's no mention of any witch class and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I put it this way in the in my analysis. I worded it something like her, like, the class, like, she never established the class because the class that she wanted couldn't exist by virtue of her, like, wanting to do primeval sorcery. So she just did it all by herself on the down low. And then in the abstract, yeah, the idea is, like, you have a bunch of people who would have become maybe part of her class, who kind of, like, you know, it's not really a class, but, you know, they're not getting their own Brightstone witch heads to wear or anything, right? But they are essentially, you know, that's where they're going, is becoming essentially, you know, like, illegal primeval sorcerers. Yeah, I get you. Okay, I get you. It's a joke. But I just want to take it serious because, like, I do think that's an important distinction, is that we only have, I think, 5 classes in total. Haima, Twin Sage, Carolus, Olivinus, and, God, I'm forgetting. Oh, of course, Lazuli, right? Lapis Lazuli, right? Lazuli one. So, yeah. I think those are the only 5 classes that the Academy has ever had, right? There's no other conspectuses. God, what did I do to all the freaking courts in this area? It's, like, not here at all. Like, I must have really sucked this area dry, because I can't imagine there'd be no courts in this part. Oh, there we go. 1 quartz. Yeah, I must have really cleaned house. Which makes sense, because it's so close to my base in comparison to other places. I wouldn't be surprised if I did that in the past. I also think that, oh, I forgot to bring that water. God damn it, that's the whole point of me doing it. It's okay, we'll be fine. Actually, you know what? Let's go a little farther. Is that the quartz I want? Yeah, it is, I think. Yeah. But I think Primal Glintstone Hearts is the direction we're going to go to, because It's the only thing I think you can grasp on with the fact that Selene has a, actual, like, you know, proper, complete, like, successful heart. Maybe she did it by herself. I would be a little skeptical of her abilities to be able to, you know, replace her own heart by her. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna commit open heart surgery on myself, no biggie, right? Just gonna give myself a transplant. So I'd be a little skeptical on how she would accomplish that by herself, right? So I'd be kind of lenient, being like, you know, maybe they were doing some of that old astrologer mountaintops open heart surgery stuff to each other. Just stab a blade in you, try to have it lodge in and become your replacement heart before you bleed out to death, right? And I think I can completely understand why, when it seems like the astrologers had abandoned that practice, that the Carians would kind of be like, yeah, no, we don't want that. Though, again, I also think you can make a good case that on a cynical angle that Rennala would do it just to get rid of Azur and Lusat, so that way, you know, you get rid of the most influential and potentially popular sorcerers that could challenge you, right? By essentially nabbing them on an incredibly divisive issue, which is, hey, should we risk the lives of our fellow sorcerers for science? And yeah, I have to write that part in still. But otherwise, then we're gonna have the primeval sorcerer section done. I'll be honest, I was talking more about the sorcery balls and all that stuff more than I thought I would. I actually thought I might include that for astrologers, but hey, if the lore with Selene is you know, that she's basically, you know, for all intents and purposes, the founder, you know, the first sorcerer baller, or whatever it is, right? Then I think it's fine. Because I don't think I can talk about anything involving Selene without talking about the Carians and stuff. So I can't like just move her stuff and then by extension Azur and Lusat's to astrologers, and then just talk about the Carian angle as like a little aside thing in the current thesis. But once that's done, again, it's gonna be mostly finished. Again, a few other tweaks and edits I want to make along the way. There's more stuff to add. I've added the Carian Greatsword thing for the Lazuli school, so I'm happy with that. God, there. Where is my quartz? God, I want to move a scanner room over here already. And with Caria covered, I'm gonna be very much satisfied, because then it's gonna flow. I'm gonna be able to remove some of that stuff from Altus Unification War, right, and focus purely on the diplomatic relations, right? So that's gonna be nice. I'm also gonna have a way better section on the Carian Knights. I do not like how I handled. I think I dramatically oversimplified all the Carian Knight stuff for the sake of brevity in the Altus Unification War. I don't think I gave all that lore its proper due, and now I think I have. Now that it's part of its own analysis. So I'm a lot happier with that now. And then, yeah, we get to talk about some of the diplomatic relations and things that were already happening here. Overall, I just think it's gonna be nice to have something that's not strictly about Marika and Godfrey. That you know, their country, their kingdom, their reign, their rule, their wars, and all that stuff. It could kind of just be kind of like this thing that leads in, kind of like what I want to do with Erdtree's beginning, and separate out all the pre-Erdtree stuff. As not as laying the groundwork for the Erdtree for giving the background, but as being like their own civilizations on the plateau. Separate from the Erdtree to give an essential background for context of what conflicts and wars and things were being fought over. Again, I'm so happy with how the DLC like added to like, you know, to like Banished Knight and stuff like that, with like, you know, those being recruited and brought in and stuff like that, right? Especially considering they added the extra Mesmer asset, so like when they're using Banished Night weapons and stuff, it's not just them like doing it as a throwaway. I absolutely love that. And it's so good because it just reaffirms everything about the timeline. Hey, Tyrone. No mercy here to fight me for my man. That can be taken several ways, Tyrone. How you doing? Hope everything is okay. Oh. Ooh, some Titanite stuff. I have room for it. I can live with that. More wreckage? Ah, there we go. I want more lore, Loki. It's never enough. Listen, I'm only one person. I'll be honest, I would really love it if I had, like, for me personally, I would really enjoy if I could have AI help me offload some of the work by, like, giving me, like, basic outlines and stuff and things, and I could tweak it. The problem is, AI is just not there for Souls lore. It just isn't. It cannot do any of that. I decided on a whim to check out, like, Grok and stuff to see how it could handle, questions about Souls stuff. It just doesn't know what to do with any of the information and data. Like, it just... Like, I even asked it some basic things like, what is Loki's opinion on X or Y? And, like, oh boy, it goes off on into its own little world soon enough. It's like, come on, it shouldn't be that hard to summarize everything that I've said in 5 paragraphs on Sullivan or whatever, right? Like, I'm pretty sure you can get the basic bullet points out of there. But nope, it just cannot comprehend. It cannot comprehend the density of the material, or even, like, I think even begin to fathom what exactly it's looking at, right? Again, it's it's not really AI, so it doesn't really fathom, but you know what I mean. So as a result, I'm still forced here to kind of sit around praying that I'm able to somehow work myself faster so I can get that content out to you guys. Without killing myself somehow. Oh my god. How do you not hit the freaking island? Ay, ay, ay. Woo!
Welcome aboard, Captain.
There we go. Yeah, I see something like that from that angle. I'm like, do I really want that there? Okay, nothing else. Yeah. 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 Yeah, I understand. The war, I understand. Again, we talked about it before. I think that's something you could say is a limitation from software storytelling, is by the nature of the ability to, in order to tell a good story about conflicts, they have to be downscaled to being essentially more so like a collection of battles, more than like truly all expansive, like big complex war stuff. Because even if you were to create all that, like conveying any of that and making it comprehensible just isn't work, right? So like their options is always just either be very vague about wars, just kind of say like, oh yeah, wars happen, right? Or keep the wars pretty straightforward, where you can at least understand and follow through like the basic idea of how they would play out, right? It's like, okay, yeah, this battle here, and then it culminates to that final battle there, right? Good, good. There we go. Yay! More glass! We're going to combine that with our lithium on the reinforcements, and we're going to create some beautiful highways made of glass. The glass channel, the tube. Then why hire Martin? For all the family drama. Like, let's, putting whatever you think about Martin versus Miyazaki's styles of storytelling aside, I mean, Martin still is like a, you know, he's still the writer for the mythos. Whatever Miyazaki's influence on him, he's the one who's still coming up with things like the Elden Ring. He's the one who's helping formulate ideas of the cosmos. He's the one giving us probably a basic history on stuff like Far Mazula, and probably, if I had to guess, Rao and the dynasties and things like that. He's the one who's coming up with the giant family tree for Godfrey and whoever, so that way, you know, Miyazaki can just, you know, consult Martin's notes, and he can pull another random demigod out of his ass during the Elden Rings 2 or whatever, right? Like he's got, like, it's very clear that there is plenty of source material which was used to create the basis of a lot of the backstory, and then it was Miyazaki's job just to kind of express some of the specifics, probably flesh some of those out, and decide what happens next, right? What's going to happen next with Miquella or Melania, whatever. Like, how are you going to tell these stories? When you got Miquella's things with Radahn, Miquella's things with Godwyn, Miquella's things with Melania, right? Same thing with all the other demigods and stuff. Like, they have all these relations and things, right? And so how are you going to convey that? Like, for example, we know with Rykard and Radahn, they decide, okay, we're going to convey it with, like, a single portrait, right? And that, I think, is going to be enough. And it's like, okay, fair enough. That's how you want to do it. Do you think Miyazaki got notes from Martin on Godfrey's tax policy? No. Again, I think that statement's going to haunt Martin for the rest of his life. Somehow I have my doubts that anything in Martin's prose mentioned Marika's tax policy. What's here? We have some stuff we can reinforce. It was so weird how people who liked Radahn coped about how he clearly lost Morgoth. I assume that's an ongoing thing. I don't think any of the people like stopped coping, right? Like, I don't see, at least as of the DLC, I don't see what would change people wanting to say that. That's not him. It's a giant who looks like him. But yeah, I agree. It's very clearly Radahn. There's nothing else to ever insinuate it's anything but Radahn. Hell, even with the DLC adding lore on Radahn's Royal Guard, there's still no reason to think that that's them then over Radahn. Like, it's clearly just Radahn. And I get why, though. Because people want to hear he's the strongest in the Shattering, therefore he must be like Melania and he never lose. Or at the very least, he didn't lose before facing Melania. I think the reality is just... wow, I thought there would at least be some of them that's missing. Okay. The reality is that no. Radahn seems to have more or less kind of lost all his battles, per se. That's not a knock against his strength, because he does some crazy things even in defeat. But it's just acknowledging the fact that, you know, one man does not make an army. One man can't win a war all on his own. Also, people just don't like the idea that the strongest demigod would lose, because then it would imply Morgoth might actually be the strongest and Radahn is just a fraud. When I think the sober take, if we're being real, is just that Morgoth got the drop on Radahn.
literally surprise attacked him, jumped down from the walls probably, and caught him from above, right? Knocked him off Leonard, right? And we just leave it at that. I don't think it needs to be anything more, as it were. I think the demigods are closer and say that people will realize the point that with clever plan we would allow a weak demigod to kill a stronger one. Maybe. Again, I try to avoid getting into those power scaling discussions because, as I've always said, I just think they're pointless. The writers will decide who is truly stronger or weaker in any given scenario, right? You could argue about how believable or something or not is for X character to have been fooled or lost to that one, right? But, you know, a lot of crazy things happen in real life, so I'm not here going to be, you know, throwing stones at glass houses here. Speaking of glass. God, this looks so fucking good. This looks so fucking good. I don't think we need this. I find the discussions boring. Yeah, I agreed. I just don't see there's anything that like really would make me go like, yeah, I want to really into this talk. I don't see any problem with Morgott beating Radahn and then losing to Melania, and that's basically the whole of his fighting in the Shatter or whatever. Because like, hey, like I said, he has some crazy stuff besides that. Again, he's doing all that while holding back the stars. I think people forget this. Like, a whole huge part about like Radahn's strength and stuff is how he's doing all that while also sealing the stars. And that a lot of it is, again, the quote-unquote, he's not fighting at his full strength. Yeah, that's fair to say. He's legit fighting with essentially an arm type behind his back because he clearly has to dedicate something at all times in order to keep his legend alive. Which, again, just goes to show the ego that is involved there, right? I've said it before. I think Radahn could have definitely beat Melania if he had a little, if he just had a little less ego than her. Like, she clearly was willing to forego pride in order to guarantee the win, even if it required, you know, unleashing her Scarlet Rot, abandoning her brother's needle thing, all that jazz. I like to talk mostly because people get mad at it. Again, I don't find enjoyment in any of that, right? Like, I find more enjoyment when I see the discussions and debates surrounding, you know, the content and being like, you're wrong, no, here's why, blah, 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 right? I find that stuff a bit more interesting. And even that, I think, like I said before, guys, like, it's not like something where I'm like, I'm gonna, like, spend a lot of my time on discussion boards or things like that, because I just don't think there's much of a point, right? I've got so many other things to do involving actually, like, writing on the lore. Right? If I wanted to listen to that, I would just listen to, you know, different sides make their arguments and then come to my own conclusion, you know? Technically, it's a draw. It was a draw up until, I think, Melania... Oh, I guess you could still argue. I'm trying to think. It was a draw up until when Melania used the Rot, but I can't remember if they continued to refer to it as a draw after that point, right? Because Melania essentially... Yeah, you know what? Both of them ended up kind of knocked out for the fight permanently, right? And had to get dragged off the battlefield, essentially, right? So, you know what? Yeah, I think it's fair.
All right, we have one more thing for this. No, the point I'm trying to make, Xavier, is that I know it's called a draw when they clashed and they locked. Like, that's the part where it's called a draw. It's after that that I'm not so sure, because I can't remember. I don't remember if it said explicitly or not. I don't think so, though. The more I'm thinking about it. So I guess you could still argue it's a draw even then. The point is that they were definitely evenly matched until, you know, Melania pulled out the Rock card, and Radon refused to pull out the okay, fuck the stars card. And like I said, I don't think it really matters when it comes to like trying to discuss their power levels and stuff like that, right? The point is that the game tells us that Melania, you know, she's never known quote-unquote defeat. Whether you mean that she won the battle with Radon or ended up in a draw, same difference. Yeah, okay. We don't need any of this crap. Yeah, agreed, yeah. And I think that's really all that really matters, right? Whew! I only have one lithium, right? Yeah, only one. Let's do it here, then. Just so I can make sure I remember this. It's a draw. I mean, he wasn't dead, just brain dead. And then he still basically KO'd her to the point that she had to be carried away. It's like saying, well, Ollie later died from brain complications Friday, so when you think about it, does that count as a win for as well? The thing is that, Melania didn't get knocked out after unleashing the rod. She continued to fight. Like, that's a point that's being made, is that she continued to fight in the poison swamp, afterwards. One of the noble spirits makes a point about that. She was dancing with her, like, butterfly wings and stuff. Like she basically phase 2'd Radon. That's essentially what happened, right? And when you phase 2 Radon, right, like, obviously that's going to cause some problems for him. And then we see how his legs and stuff have rotted out, so he's fighting inside the middle of the swamp and stuff. And then we also really have to have his royal guard kind of stepping in and things. Really? I don't have enough? No, I do. Oh, that's right. I already have it, duh. Oh my god. Chat, we're gonna be here forever. Get ready, chat. We're never gonna be able to get all the way over that island. Oh, actually, maybe, let's see if I can try to measure it from in here. Can I get a decent, it's kind of at an angle and stuff, so it's not gonna be perfect, but. So let's start here. So this might be 4 or 5. I think 4. So I think this is 4 meters. Alright, so 4 meters, chat. Let's assume that's 800 meters straight and about 200 meters due, what is it, northwest? North? So if that's the case, so that's oh boy. Oh boy, that's still like 200, right? That's 200 more of these glass things I gotta do. That's a lot of glass. Oh boy. Oh boy, that's a lot of glass. Yeah, this is why I would like to have like a row of benches or something, you know? How much? How is it? I have a little bit, not too much. Okay, yeah. We need more lithium, we need more titanium. We need food stuff here, so I can come and grab food quickly here. Let's actually do that now while we have the chance. Because I can also do my resting so it becomes daytime again. Boop. Oh, there's 2 of those I'm missing. Okay. I think I'm going to want to get rid of a few of these and plant these back here, yeah. There we go. Let's do the bed resting first. Kind of sad Radahn was as arrogant as he was. I feel like Martin was going for the idea of doing a deconstruction of heroism. I truly believe that. I think that was that's what I like. That's kind of what I glean as the narrative arc of Radahn. It's sort of this idea of kind of like the hubris of heroism, where you have this guy who's like this fanboy. All he wants to do is become a hero. In order to become a hero, he ends up doing things that are very selfish and ultimately self-defeating, right? In order to kind of hold on to this glory of being a hero, right? I think that's very much sort of Radahn's arc. I guess you can argue how the whole Miquella thing might fit into that at the end of the thing. Right? Like, I see that as a big major reason why he loves Leonard so much, right? Like, Leonard, a red-haired horse, like him, who's this really weak and kind of frail and stuff, right? And yet, Radahn still sort of brings him in and chooses to ride him into battle, and even when Radahn becomes this big, strong, beefy man, far too beefy to be Leonard, he's still obsessed with making sure that Leonard can still fight with him on the battlefield, and I think it's very clearly because, how do I put it? I think it's very clearly because Radahn sees himself in Leonard, right? He sees this idea of this, like, sort of, this unheroic, this very stereotypically unheroic individual in this animal. And this, who again, I assume he's also, just empathetic to animals and stuff like that, right? Because he's such an amiable, kind person, right? I think he sees a lot of himself in Leonard, right? So beyond just, just being kind and loving and an animal person, all that, I think it's very much sort of tied into, again, this sense of ego that he has, right? And I think that's a very interesting dynamic for a person, right? Is how, like, again, like, the lengths he goes to help keep his horse on the battlefield is very much a expression of his own personal mental state. Like, it's like, if you fail, what does that mean for me, right? Like, you have to succeed because I have to succeed as well. And I think that's something that's very interesting, and again, I think it's a very poignant aspect to Radahn's narrative. You think he would have tried to start conquer other lands? No, I don't think so. I don't think Radahn is interested in that. I think the whole point of the Star Scourge was to do it so that way it wouldn't be anything that actually would, quote-unquote, hurt anybody, right? Yeah, I don't think Radahn has any problems with battle, but I don't think he's bloodthirsty either. Like, I don't think this is a guy who's, like, itching to get into fights just for the sake of getting into fights. Everything about him kind of screams to me as, like, he's, how do I put it? Everything about him kind of screams to me that he's just trying to do what he thinks he needs to achieve his dreams. Radahn's not interested in violence. He's a Jed. Yeah, again, I think that's why. Again, you could argue there may be a corrupting influence, because again, this is where the question becomes of how involved are the Great Runes as being a quote unquote corrupting agent, right? In all this. Yep, Okay, we have room for sure. Let's first pop that water. Oh, all the times I wish I could goddamn crouch. There we go. There we go. There we go. Gary Fish, you're in the wrong area. Gary Fish, you're not supposed to be here. I'm sorry to say this was a mistake. I liked Radon before the DLC. I don't know if I'd necessarily say I liked it. You know, I guess I could. I guess I could say I liked it. I didn't love Radon before the DLC, right? But I still think he got majorly disrespected with how they handled him with his Mikkel arc. And again, this is me trying to say, like, giving you know, every due to Miyazaki that, yes, this was probably always part of the lore. Yes, this was probably always the reasons for why Millennium was there. Like, yada, yada. Like, all of that, okay, all that being true, I still think it was the dumbest, most cringe narrative arc that they could have given to Radon and to Miquella. I would have been so much happier if we just kept it at the Hailing Tree, if that's what we were going to be going with in the end, you know? It's like, you know what? Let's just have the original Melania Miquella tag team boss fight for Phase 2, you know? Oh my god. I was not happy with the angle on this. A little bit more this way. A little bit that way. There we go. Fine, good enough. I'll take it. Is that Gary, son of evil Larry? Sure, let's go with that. I am. Whatever you say. If I'm going to do what I think I'm going to do, so... Oh my god. My character cannot... There we go. God, I honestly want to look up a mod just to fix that. I liked him, but didn't love him. Always prefer Morgott as my favorite. What about you? Again, Godrick's always going to be my fave for me, but Morgott would probably be my second choice. I could even see, after I do a deep dive on Morgott, him beating out Godrick for me, but it just sort of depends on, like, what details I might see. You know, what nuances about Morgott's character will I find that'll, like, really kind of, like, you know, attract me to him. As is, I think he's just aight, you know? Like, there's a lot of cool stuff there. I appreciate, like, you know, I can appreciate, you know, kind of like an underdog story almost, where he's, you know, he's really trying to make this whole alliance thing work out, and nobody's making it easy for him. We all believe in Godofah. Yeah, Godofah again is like, Godofah is kind of like one of those setup characters. Like, Godofah exists in the lore. There seems to be some decent enough backstory there to work with. But, like, it's not like this is a character who you're going to be, like, you know, there's, like, oodles and oodles of stuff to attach you to the character, right? I think it's a very simple, villainous type character, and that's fine. I'm happy with that. You won't hear me complain. Oh, let's see. I want another one of these, so I'm going to put this here in the plant. Oh, you know what, while we're here, let's get some genuine fruit. I can't remember if the Chinese plants regrow or not. I can't remember if taking their stuff is gonna, if the potatoes are gonna actually, like, you know, go back there. Actual God of Elden Ring, Soldier of Godrick. Yeah, but of course, you know, there's so much lore for him for us to go through. Like, it just takes us forever. We have to worry about all the other stuff first before we can get to good old Soldier of Godrick. Praise be his name. Alright. Okay, these are still growing. Oh god, I don't actually... Huh. don't know what I actually want to do with these other ones. Being real here. I have no idea. I guess I could do more Chinese potato plants. One, two, three. And then I guess I could eat the last one if I really want to. Okay. At least I have some food that I can pick for myself now. So that's good. And then the water will be the next thing. Actually, no. I want to... No, you know what? I can, because I can pick this up later, right? As long as I have the space. Yeah, okay. We'll go let those things grow on their own, and then we'll come back. Morgoth's a very Martin character, a man trying to do the right honorable thing because it's what he knows, and no one else wants to play ball for selfish goals. Yeah, I think there's definitely something appealing very much about what Morgoth is trying to accomplish, right? Because he's the one that's been most screwed over by the Elden Ring, and in some ways, you know, he's kind of got not imposter syndrome, Stockholm syndrome, right, about it, right? No, he's sort of, you know, sort of like the abused victim basically kind of agrees that, oh, yeah, I deserve this kind of thing, right? And yet he somehow turns that into, like, kind of like a heroism where he's doing everything he can to kind of, like, keep the order that, like, by all accounts you'd think he maybe would want everything to destroy together, right? Compared to, like, Mohg, who basically goes off to do his own thing, right? For his formless mother and all that. Again, I think there's a lot of appeal there with Morgoth. Gwendolyn syndrome! That is so dirty, Xavier. Oh, Gwendolyn catching strays. Oh my god. Oh god. All right. I want more lithium. I want more lithium. I want more, what's the word? I want more, glass, which means we need more quartz, which means, oh boy. Leave my femboy alone. Gwendolyn's getting washed. It's like, man, Gwendolyn wasn't even trying. He caught those strays. They just went straight for him, like, zing. Didn't even give him a chance to dodge. I guess they're not still growing because I can't pick them up, right? Oh. Yeah. I think that's it. Alright, so again, I'm going to leave this here for now. Maybe I'm going to do like a menagerie while I mix it up. While I'll put like one plant there, one there, right? Like I'm going to try to set it up so that way I can have my own kind of like, you know, little mini forest here, backdropped by all the ocean. But until then, that's what happens when you let a man eat you. This is what happens. This is what happens when you let a man eat you out. Oh wait, no, I didn't want to do this because we're gonna come back here soon. Let's see. All right. Pretty happy with that. Let's grab one more water for the road. Looks like we're starting to eat into our bioreactor supply from what I can see. But that's fine because our goal is ultimately to get more titanium, more lithium, and more quartz. So we can create some wonderful glass and reinforcements. There we go. So what do you guys what would you guys like to see as a topic from me, honestly? Like, again, I'm not going to do this as, like, a general poll or anything, but out of curiosity, if you guys want to see, like, one, like, topic for me, it could be Bloodborne, Elden Ring, or Dark Souls 2 and 3. Like, what topic would you really like to see from me do next? Oh, no. Okay, we got nothing here. We got nothing here. Okay. Why are we now all now discussing yaoi? You guys! Oh, my chat. It always goes back to the Baycorn. Deep dives on bosses, like them as characters. So you don't have like a particular. You're like, you know, I'll take a Gale, I'll take a Morgott, I'll take a Radon, I'll take a whatever you can give me, Chief. I will say I was happy when I was working on something like Garrus, though. Again, I feel like, this is a problem I'm having with me when it comes to some of the stuff, is because, like, you know, there's so much interconnectedness with some of the areas and things. Like, I don't know if I'll be revisiting Garrus or not and adding, because, like, I'm like, okay, is the noble stuff with, like, the lion, like, golden lion thing still relevant? Is there actually, like, a deeper story here? Like, what about the whole thing with the shack? Is that actually connected to Garrus? Could it be something else, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff there where I'm like, I could totally see myself getting more context and having to revisit Garrus and be like, oh, no, there was that, and there was that, right? Hornsent, Rao, or Dynasty? Ooh, Hornsent, or the AC, or the AD. Those are some good options for sure. Have you covered No Man's Wharf? Yes, I am. I've covered No Man's Wharf. That's in Drang Lake, for example. That covers, I think that's the one that almost entirely covers No Man's Wharf. Yeah, for me, I would really like to get back to doing Dark Souls 3 stuff, but I know where the priorities for a lot of people are, right? Like, a lot of people, like, you guys overwhelmingly want to see Elden Ring stuff from me. I know there's definitely, like, there's just so many of you guys in the polls were voting for Elden Ring and stuff like that, right? And everything else basically fell in line with what I was expecting, right? Like, people would be, like, more Bloodborne over probably more Dark Souls 2 and 3 stuff. Like, Dark Souls is old news. Not to me, it's not. But, you know, for most of you guys it is. So it's like, okay, I want to balance it out so that way I'm giving you guys things you actually want to read while I'm working on this stuff. Plus, it's a good way for me to diversify, so I'm not, like, burning myself out just working on one thing or not. Though I feel bad for goddamn Ariandel. I'm never getting that goddamn thesis done. It's literally going to be another year before I get that thing finished. I'd like to see you continue with DS3. See, I would too, because I do want to just finish up Londor and Ariandel, but I really want to finish DS2. I really want to just get it over with, so I never have to think about or worry about DS2 again, right? So I do need to get on that. Damn. Peak Man's Wharf. I'll say, at least in No Man's Wharf, they added the goddamn shortcut with the Scholar. At least they did that. Peak Souls 2 will haunt you forever. Oh, God. I hope not. I truly hope not. Well, if we want lithium, we know we can just go to the mountain island, so... God, there's so much goddamn salt. Seriously. Who the hell is raging here? Probably Leviathans. Oh, yeah. Dark Souls 2 lore is good, though. There's lots of parts of it I like, and there's lots of parts of it I don't like, right? I think the farther you get from the main story and the main plot and all the stuff there, the better Dark Souls 2 lore gets, for sure. Though I admit, even some of the stuff in the fringes, like you go down to Mytha and you get like the freaking like love triangle with her, and then you got the Covenant and all this. I'm just like, oh my god, like this is just padding, like this is just filler. Like, honestly, if I didn't discover the thematic, like, the thematic through line for each of the different areas in connections to the 4 gods, I would literally, like, have nothing really, you know, really, positive to say on how they, like, arrange the actual layout of the game and all that stuff, right? Like, as far as, like, the narrative is concerned. But the fact that they, the fact that there is that you actually can be like, oh, I can see, like, the thematic connection and, like, the references and stuff being done with each of these areas in connection to whatever the old one of that, or great one for that particular area is, right? That's the only thing making me kind of, like, go, okay, well, you know, I'll give Tanimura credit there. Now, the problem is that who the fuck cares about all these thematic connections with the great ones? Because the great ones are, like, such a... they're such a footnote, really. The main purpose is to help connect you to the original Dark Souls 1 setting, really, and really help key you in on the Great Shift, right? Like, they're not that you know, narratively important. Don't remind me of the love triangle, Loki. I have to, I am. You open Pandora's box. Now you get to enjoy it. I'm gonna talk about that goddamn... got just some random Mythogard being like, oh, I could love her better than that king ever could. Why won't she notice of me? Fucking Phaedius. Maybe if you stopped eating all the time, maybe she'd look twice. Oh. I'm finding so much titanium on this run. Alright, I think we should go to Mountain Island then, because we have so much of that stuff now. I think that should be the focus now, is going around the base and adding as many reinforcements as possible so we can have, we don't have to worry about glass, destabilizing things for a while. Damn, fuck. Walls! Oh, did you pick it up? Oh, asshole, you picked it up. That asshole picked up the wreckage I was gonna grab. Well, I don't want to go chasing it, so. Oh my god. What is this propulsion? Oh, I didn't want to do that either, damn. Honestly, what I need to do is find one on this side, so that way I'm not, like, you know, crossing over. That's my biggest problem. Maybe it's because I'm a lefty, but I keep on, like, aiming over to find stuff on my left side. I should be orienting myself more so I can find stuff on my right side. Is Vendrick's love life more disastrous than Kanye's? Serious question, by the way. I'll be honest, I don't follow Kanye West close enough to even understand what his love life could possibly be like. Like, honestly, I feel like his entire life is kind of in a weird spot, you know? So, yeah, maybe. Oh. The asshole took the wreckage again, didn't he? Oh my fucking god. This bitch. The audacity of this bitch. The Covetous Demon did nothing wrong, except exist. It's the only thing I despise about the lore. I'm surprised that's the thing that really gets you, I am, right? I'm surprised that's the thing that's really like, you know what, this rubs me the wrong way. This doesn't belong. Which is funny, because, like, I actually like them doing, like, the romance love story thing with, like, Alsana and stuff very well, right? I'm not, like, intrinsically opposed to, like, Mytha's thing. It's just kind of, you know... I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing to, like... you know, it's kind of like, you don't really do anything special with it outside of, like, Mytha being crazy, poison, mountain queen, witch lady, right? It's basically like, yep, this is how you'd expect this kind of, you know, narrative arc to play out. It's pretty standard. Woman tries to impress guy, goes to extremes, does terrible things to people in pursuit of that. For a guy that she, honestly, could probably do better without. Love triangle sounds like someone's fetish. I just think it's very, like... you know, you're going off of like Dark Souls 1, right? Which I'm not saying like Dark Souls 1 is like this really unique like dynamics and stuff though, but like it's a lot more novel and interesting and stand out compared to what we get in DS2, which, again, to be fair, the point of DS2 was to kind of go back to the world of man, but it's like, can we go back to the world of man, but not have the world of man just be, like, every other world of man fantasy story? Like, could it be a little less boring? Like, I'm not too crazy about, like, the Skeleton Lords of Huntsman's Copes or any of that torture stuff. Again, I think that's also kind of, like, you know, bland, you know, boring. You know, nothing really grabs me there. I think Forest of Fallen Giants is cool, right? I like that. I like kind of the setup there and the mystique and things that you have surrounding it. So that's neat. Oh. I think Lost Bastille, I think just as an area, is too boring to make it work. I think the environmental storytelling is just not there, really. It really feels like they had a castle and then they plastered over the, oh yeah, it was converted to a prison a bunch of times, right? Like, it feels very superficial. It doesn't feel like what it is. It has the same problems I have with Karthus, right? Now we're gonna leave you alive. Oh my god, these stupid sharks. Yeah, like, if you're gonna do the love stuff, do it, like, with Alva and Zully. Or, yeah, sorry, Zully. We don't want to mistake... We don't want to mistake the witch for the infinitely cooler Zully the witch, right? But, Alva and Zully, they, I think, is where, or I think the B team had it right? I think that's where Tanimura actually was striking gold. Because it's this nice little side story, it's very poignant, right? It's a very human tale, and it's something that, it's very different, right? It's a knight and a witch, and you don't see a lot of stories about, like, this holy knight who's doing so, and you have this witch who's, like, constantly trying to get at him, but then inadvertently, the knight's goodness ends up turning the witch good, right? Like, you don't get a lot of that story, or at least they don't harp on that dynamic a lot in fantasy stories. Right? And I like how they kind of treat it as, like, this comedy of errors with Zully, where she's, like, trying all these different, like, she's trying everything. I'll put on a mask, I'll put on a hood, I'm doing all this stuff to trick you, so that way you'll freaking give up your mission and, you know, just lay with me, right? I'm trying to seduce you. I'm seducing you! And he's like, no. I have a mission, right? And then she ends up kind of turning around and ends up being the one to comfort him when he's in his, like, direst hour, right? Like, there's... And then the way Miyazaki builds on that in Dark Souls 3, I think, is just chef's kiss. I'm just also am not a fan of love stories. Wow, I am no wonder you weren't. No wonder you stopped at first episode of You Are. How did the localization put it? You Are Miss Servant. I wish it was Maid. Why did they translate it servant instead of maid? Right. But no wonder you stopped at the first episode for that one. Yeah, Chad, I'm sorry to say. I have the wonderfully eclectic tastes of my favorite genres being horror and romance. I love things that get your heart pumping, clearly. So yeah, I'm not intrinsically opposed to romance. It's just, you have to really make it work when it comes to Dark Souls stuff, right? Like, there's a little bit of romance in the original Dark Souls 1, right? But most of it is usually a catalyst for something more tragic or horrifying, right? Chad Holy Knight versus the Virgin Dark Witch. Yeah, exactly. But like I was saying, I'm not opposed, for example, with what they did with Alsana and Ilium Lois and stuff. I think that if that was like the only example of it in the entire game, I think it would be a nice little diversion. I think the problem is that they just... Oh my god, what are you... Go away! Also, chat, why can't I not find my goddamn lithium? Is it because I want to avoid the goddamn warpers. Was it, like, literally right there below them and only in that area, and I completely forgot? Did I bring, water? Yeah, I did. Oh my god. I gotta repair this thing, you know? It's why I hate the harem stuff in Trails. Yeah, it's... I'll be honest, I think the harem stuff, like, it kind of starts in Crossbell, right? Kind of. But, like, they really lean into it in Cold Steel, right? That's when it really gets itself started. And it's just, it is such a downer, right? Because I wouldn't even be opposed to them doing the multiple romance options and stuff, if, and only if, it didn't come with the caveat that literally every girl seems to want to get into Reen's pants whenever he shows even the mildest, gives them the mildest bits of attention, right? And so you have like 5 girls that are all very clearly and some of them that you don't even need to show them any attention. They just automatically want to get into your pants, right? Especially when it's for a character like Reen, I'm just like, oh my god. Just shoot me. Just shoot me. Why are we doing this, Trails? Right? Because the closest thing you got, like, going back in Sky was kind of like Joshua, where Joshua was supposed to be, like, the stud, right? But Joshua wasn't the focus as the main character, and the focus wasn't around him, right? A lot of times it was actually played for laughs, how Joshua was such a beautiful, you know, handsome, you know, typical, you know, kind of Bishonen boy you know, typical Bishi, right? That it ended up causing troubles for him, especially, like, when it came to the cross-dressing and stuff, right? So they had fun with it, they played around with it, and they never went, like, too overboard. It was like, he was like the bombshell, he was the cute foreign boy who all the girls in the rural village, wanted to get with, right? And you had a few extra characters like Olivier or something, right? And Olivier would literally F anything that moves, so. It just was handled so much better. Well, I could see Lloyd getting a girlfriend. Reen doesn't fit considering his story. I have so many problems with Reen's story. But yeah, I think the idea that if you took away the romance aspects to it, I think you could probably make it work better. You could at least, like, try to lean into, like, the edgy boy, like, tragic, oh my god, I'm stupid depression or whatever, right? You could probably lean into that and make it work a lot better, for sure. Oh my god. Oh, finally, my first lithium. Stop it. Oh. Actually, I'm finding more stuff here, so let's actually park ourselves over here. Let's park ourselves over here and just try to keep... Oh! Yeah, keep moving. Just keep moving. Just keep moving. Huh. Just keep moving. Just keep moving. Just keep moving. Moving. The moral of DS2, people always say what no pussy does to an MFer, but I've seen what pussy does to an MFer, and it's far worse. Yeah, DS2 also has the thing with Vendrick, and, like, obviously there has to be, like, an inherent, you know, there's an aspect of quote-unquote romance to it. Like, the only one I really think did it well when it came to the Children of Dark was, like, Nidalia, because it was, like, you know, she was, like, so obsessed, and it wasn't really because she ever liked or even knew who her king was, right? It was the idea of the king, right? She never even knew it. Alanis is kind of cool, right? Getting back to, like, areas and things, I think, like, the gutter benefits from the fact you can't see, like, 99% of it. So, I think that area works better. I like Black Gulch. I like Shulva. I generally like the story arcs told there, right? Because you can even put aside any, like, genuine romance between, Alana and the Sunken King and stuff, and, like, you could even just look at it as, like, a transactional thing, right, even? And, yeah, like, I really love that vengeance angle they go with her for, and what they do with that, with, like, the Rodden and stuff. I think they really did a good job not to mess it up, and I'm glad every game really. The problem I have with Reen is that Reen is every, like, you know, by the numbers, you know, male protagonist trope packed into one character, and they don't really do anything with it. And then they add even some of the even really generic stuff like the I'm your father type moments, right? And it's just it just makes me roll my eyes. It's not even getting to the discussion of, like, Gary Stews or anything like that. It's just, like, one of those things of, like, why are we doing this? Like, why is this the character we want to make, right? Like, Estelle, what makes Estelle so stand out is the fact that, yes, she has a lot of the typical, like, you know, what is it, like, kinda, you know, not really book smarts, you know, overactive, really, like, happy, you know, happy-go-lucky, protagonist. Except she's a tomboy, not your typical male like a Naruto or something like that, right? With, like, a little bit of tragedy spiced in there, right? And that works so well within the context of the setting, right? Because it's always brought up about Estelle and, like, you know, how she defies her gender roles and, like, you know, how she works and interacts with people. And the fact that it's not by herself, she's working with Joshua, who Joshua is also by himself, would be very typical, like, you know, edgy boy, like, why do I exist? I'm just a monster, Right? It just works so much better. I feel like Cold Steel in general might have benefited more if instead of making Reen, like, the one protagonist, if you just jumped around the entirety of Class 7. And instead of making it, like, sort of harem simulator, like, oh my god, go hang out with the people you like. By the way, I hanged out with Eustace for the most part. Because bros before hoes. But, like, Oh, why are you... asshole? Go away. Go away. Alright, there we go. I found it! Yeah, Eustace is the one character I found in Cold Steel that I found actually compelling, because he was different from all the other, like, typical archetypes you got. Like, Fee also kind of approached that, right? Fee was also kind of there for me. Emma, well, we all know, like, Emma doesn't get interesting until Cold Steel 2, right? Or I guess you could argue end to Cold Steel 1, but... Laura, I've never understood the appeal of Laura. I'll be honest, I've never get it. I know, like, she's just really popular with people. I've never understood. I find her so fucking dull. Like, I swear. I don't think even Reen feels as cardboard to me as she does. I feel like the only reason people like her is because she's so freaking broken in combat. I love how he's a bastard child. Like, everything about Eustace is good. Here's the thing. Eustace is the one character who I feel like actually, is actually telling me a story that only Trails can tell me. How many times do you get the story from the quote-unquote haughty noble, right? How many times do you get the story from his perspective and him actually making good and valid points about what he does, why it's important what he does, how he thinks and everything, what he actually has to put up with, what his life is like? That is 10 times more interesting than, like, you get from most of Class 7. Because most of Class 7 really do just fit, like, cookie-cutter molds for the most part. And again, it's Trails writing, so I'm not going to say, like, the material isn't getting elevated by that. But, like, there's only so much depth you can add to something which has inherently been done to death. Like, you know all the paint by numbers. It's just you just being like, yeah, okay, that's a very good execution of something I've seen a million times before. Right? They need someone to do the big damage. Yeah, but but I have to now suspect if that's literally the only reason that people have, like, they have this perceived attachment to her, because, like, oh my god, Laura, yeah, go, destroy them, absolutely, yeah, break that boss, you just saved me from White Bag, yeah, right, like, I have to wonder if it's like, you know, that type of like, you know, superimposition now instead of just being like, you know, this is a really good, well-written, interesting character in her own right who has like, you know, real problems. But I think a lot of the cast is devoid of. That or their problems are like Machias's issue where it's like, God, Machias, okay, I get you, but could you stop being such a fucking bitch about it? Like, goddamn, do I have to hear you whine about nobles one more goddamn time? Alright, so where are we? We still have tons of space for more stuff, so... I might want to actually... I think I'll get a few more lithium, and then I think we move on to titanium again. Because I think we need lots more titanium. Actually, I have tons in storage, so maybe not. Maybe I should just focus purely on the lithium. I wish Risha showed up in more games. I have mixed feelings about characters showing up in more games because it's like I don't want them to, again, this goes back to what we were talking about with fan service. I want there to be a good justification for it, right? And I definitely think there's creative things to do where you're like, okay, I'm going to add this old character to this game with these new characters, see what happens, right? But it does have me concerned when I'm seeing like characters really try to push with Trails especially, when it's like you're trying to tell like different arcs with different stories, and there's going to be some overlap, but sometimes maybe like you try to do the Avengers style where everyone's going to come together or whatever, right? And it's like it starts getting a little, it gets a little bloated because everybody's now competing for screen time. So either the game feels bloated because we're having to go through every single goddamn character, or the right? Or it feels like, you know, the cast is just bloated because not enough of them actually get development for what they're actually there to do. What am I standing on? Like, hello? Yellow? Let's go to the other side, see if there's more lithium on this angle. That's like the second time that happened, and I just don't understand why it's happening. Van's good, though. I would like more female protagonists taking the lead like Estelle, though. That's my only complaint I have, is that we've now had 3 arcs where they decided that it was decidedly going to be a main male protagonist would be taking, you know, the prominence, right? I'd like to see more Estelle types, not like exactly Estelle's character, but you know what I mean. Yeah, let's go. I can come back to this later. I would like to see just more of a gender balance, because I think there could be more interesting stories they could explore in the setting. But hey, this is what they thought was best, right? Who am I to second guess the Trails devs, right? I just hope like with how long the arcs are getting and stuff, that after well, one, I hope that what we get with the Republic is gonna end up being like, you know, I hope it's gonna be better than Cold Steel, right? Like that's what I hope how I'm gonna feel about it by the end of the arc. But I'm really hoping that we start going back to like smaller, shorter, like duology type of arcs and stuff like that. Because I feel like every time Falcom is telling us like, oh, okay, yeah, it's only we don't want to have like these games get too long, so we're only gonna do like 2 games, no 3 games, and then like it ends up becoming 4 or 5, and it's like, oh my god, sirs, please, please, we beg you. Yeah, but I'm talking about the overall arc, I am, right? Like, because obviously, again,
it's, you could argue FC covers its own story too, but obviously it's part of a larger story that requires a sequel because of the cliffhangers and stuff. But like, that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that I want the game, that I want the stuff to be like, disconnected from each other per se. It's just I want the actual arcs to be something where, can we wrap them up in like 2, maybe 3 games, please? Can we stop pushing it? Because, like, for example, one of my major criticisms of Cold Steel, of the Cold Steel arc, is that I feel like I feel like 2 of its 4 games are mostly just padding, and aren't deserving of being their own separate games. That's funny to me, because one of those I would say is probably, I would say it's Cold Steel 1, I'd say it's Cold Steel 2. I think Cold Steel 2 is, like, so much time-wasting and pointless crap in retrospect. Like, I've never been more disappointed in something as major as a civil war that's happening in a game. I guess we will. I cannot find more lithium for the life of me. This is my life now. You know what? Let's go down deeper. I'm gonna regret this, but let's try to see if maybe I'm just... Oh, I am. Oh my god. Now you're telling me I'm full. No. I see a little bit more lithium, you know? We have more than enough Titanite now. Come on, where is it? God, there has to be more than just that. Come on, don't do me like that. I enjoyed CS2, but I could see where you're coming from. I think they could have cut the size of CS3 and 4, though. Yeah. Yeah, those two especially, right? Like, I could, if you want to make Cold Steel 2, like, if you want to justify and say Cold Steel 2 is old game, one, I feel like Cold Steel 2 had a problem where it didn't know when to end. It had, like, 3 or 4 different endings, and it just kept going and going. It's just like, oh my god, when is this story? Like holy hell, like, please. Falcom. You're like the king of cliffhangers. You know when's a good dramatic point to just end things, but it just keeps going and going. Like, I would even be happy if it was just like a New Game Plus thing or something you did, but like, come on. Like, this is ridiculous. And yeah, I agree. Cold Steel 3 and 4, again, that's where we get back to the bloating problem. And I think this is one of the problems that is plaguing Trails as it gets larger and more vast and more expansive and stuff. I feel like they are struggling to be able to have a concise story be told within, like, the amount of world building they want to cover, right? They have so many places, so many areas and things, right? And they want to have you personally experience it all and stuff, right? While also trying to weave together their narrative and things. So there ends up being some stuff where you're like, you know what? You know what? I feel like this could have been done differently. I feel like we didn't need to have some of this stuff happening in between. Go back to the harem stuff, though. I'll be honest, I think my biggest disappointment is what they did to Elise. Like, holy hell, Batman. What a massacred character. And for transparently, you know, shipping fetish reasons. Like, I am just... I don't know what I can say about what they did to Elise. Like, it's just... Like, it goes back to what I was saying. Like, literally, every trope you have in the book, and I don't care how much you try to have Trails writing, you are, at your core, relying on some just very limited, low-brow material to work with. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's just absolutely silly. Right? It works, again, when it came to, like, the, even going with the... Like, first off, I just think psychologically, I just think it's bad writing. Like, psychologically, there's no reason for Elise to behave that way toward her brother. Absolutely zero reason. There is nothing that could possibly justify that. It's just really bad. So already, like, we're on shaky ground there. And then you make that, like, one of her two character traits, the other being, Your Highness! Goddamn Elise, This should have been a yaoi story from the beginning. Ring Crow's the only guy. I'll be honest, wouldn't even go with the gay shipping. I wouldn't even say that. I think Crow is another huge problem. I think Crow is an absolutely atrocious character. I cannot believe that they were trying to make me feel bad about the death of a terrorist. I was like, I can't believe this is happening right now. Like, what the hell are you smoking? No, not my crow. Yes, your crow. I'm going straight for your crow. Absolutely. Absolutely cannot stand. This is true for the entire Imperial Liberation Front. I think they try way too hard to try to make them quote unquote sympathetic when it's like, yeah, but you're terrorists. like this is like what the hell are we doing here? Like, who thought this was a smart idea? Oh my god. Right. That's always the problem, isn't it? I have so much crap going on. Oh my god, I gotta let Gary out. No, like, I think I like Crow, like, by himself and independent of all that stuff. My problem is how the narrative treats Crow, really, right? Like, there's a lot to like about Crow's character. The problem is that they really try to push it as being like, oh, this poor tragic guy, look at what he's gonna do or whatever, and make everyone in class make it. I'm like, guys, he's a terrorist. Are we forgetting this? Like, are we forgetting the things he did? The lives he put at risk? Loki must hate the protagonist of Final Fantasy VII. My only complaint about Final Fantasy VII is that the remake isn't a remake. It's a stealth sequel. That's my only complaints about Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, I can't do that, huh? No, let's do a Misk, because the others are in here. But we're running out of space. I don't have a thing for nickel or for coral or... Ugh. All right, we'll put it in here. I don't like this, but I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Okay, so he's fighting with eco terrorists. Final Fantasy VII is a bit of an oddball for me. Because the game obviously has very different themes and messaging that it's trying to get across, right? Not particularly subtly either, right? Which is the stuff I find least interesting about probably the Final Fantasy game for me, right? I think more of the Super Soldier side and stuff is where, like, it really grabs me. Generally, I find it really boring when we have the, you know, the typical, like, evil corporation, evil church, even to many extents the evil government, because usually it's the same old thing, you know, same old, like, generic dictatorship or tyranny under a king or, you know, something like that, right? Like, what about the tyrannical, I don't know, democracy or something like that? How about the, I don't know, like, the imperial ship that's overwhelmed by giant, bloated bureaucracy and crap like that? Like, that's an interesting, narrative, space to mine, don't you think? Like, that's the type of stuff that I'm like, I wish I would see more of with that stuff, so. I mean, I can't complain about it, right? Like, it's serviceable for stories, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, this is so awful, I can't believe they did this, right? Like, it's fine. It's just never something that you're gonna see me be like, yay, or like boo about. I'm impressed with myself for how much I have this stuff already handled. Like, good going, me. There's stuff back here, if I recall. Alright, like I said, we're gonna assume... Actually, you know what? Let's at least get some charge while we're doing this. Let's at least get some of that 7% back. I'll be honest, chat, I'm very happy to play a game where I can just chat with you guys more while doing comfy shit. Like, I could just turn off my brain. I very much do like this change of pace. Sometimes with everything that goes on in life, it's nice to just kind of do something kind of, you know, brain dead. Like me going around trying to survive so I can build a base for no goddamn reason. I still don't know what I want to do here. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it's this one, huh? What? You're kidding me. Damn. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting that. Alright. I shall come back for you. Actually, you know what? Because we could just move this wherever. So we'll just put these here. Yeah, we want to come back, though, when we have, Don't worry, chat. There we go. Eventually. Eventually. Loki, when you said they consider naming Witch's Crown Grana instead earlier today, what source were you getting that from? Oh, I was looking at the 1.0 descriptions. It was actually for something unrelated for the, for just looking at for Kari and stuff. Just double checking sources, and I saw that. I was like, oh my god, that's so funny. That's so funny. We almost got a Guelena reference. We were so close. We were this close, chat. If you want Braid Dead, you should play a clicker game. I assume you mean like a point and click game? Yeah, maybe, if I find one that I really like. right? Again, I'm just really anticipating getting the new PC and stuff, right? And because things have been so hectic for me lately, waiting for this, I just kind of want to do something like this because, you know, I love this game and I really find it comfy vibes. No, I mean like cookie clicker. Ah, okay, I see what you mean now. I have to wrap up soon, chat, though. I'm getting tired. No, we don't want to do that. We need the quartz for the titanium. So that needs to happen. Whoops. No, Loki, stay with. Oh, right. Oh my God, it's over here. Oh my. I'm making mistakes. Let's get over there. Ay, ay, ay. Do you think America told Morgoth about the... I assume not, because I assume that Morgoth and Moog were still in the... I don't know necessarily if, like, intentionally left them in the dark or anything like that. Again, I don't think... Again, because I don't think breaking the Elden Ring and causing the problems that she was necessarily America's plan at the time that she was saying that. Yeah, I don't think any of that was part of this quote-unquote the plan. But yeah, I don't think Morgoth was, like, in the know or anything. I don't see anything that would lead us to believe he is either. Honestly, as far as I can tell, I feel like the only thing, like, Morgoth really knows is what everyone else knows post-Marika shattering. Like, he was brought to the surface either around that time or shortly after. Marika says a lot of shit. Well, I wouldn't say that. I think she mostly says, mostly when it comes to the dialogue we have of her, I think most of it is pretty much condensed to the most meaningful stuff, right? But I think as far as, like, you know, Morgoth and stuff is concerned, like, do I think, like, he was being kept in the loop per se? No, because I'll be honest, I don't think that was the audience she was presenting it to. I think the audience was very specifically for the Empyreans and obviously you have stuff like Radahn or whatever who would love to be a lord one day and stuff like that. I think it was very much something for, like, all right, my children, listen up, you little shits. Thinking about becoming gods, becoming kings, and all that jazz. That's why I think that was I think that's what her on her mind. If it was pre-Tarnished plan, America was seemingly planning to reign forever. Well, yeah, obviously she's the Eternal Queen for a reason, right? Yeah, whatever. Again, assuming that Marika was planning something with the Tarnished when she was when Godfrey was getting sent on the Long March and stuff, right? I feel like that probably got, like, roped in to whatever she was doing post breaking the Elden Ring. Because again, I just don't think breaking the Elden Ring was the plan. Like that and everything that, like, fell out from that absolutely disastrous for her. I think it very much was an impulsive decision of just, like, fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. Just fuck you, all of you. I think that's basically the long and short of it. And what she does post imprisonment, you know, that's where you can make arguments about, okay, well, you know, she's you know, get the Tarnish coming back and, you know, manipulating, hijacking, all that jazz. Don't the Echoes of America include telling the Tarnish to brandish the Elden Ring upon their return? Sure, but she also says that to Godfrey's forces all the way back in the Giant War. Again, the term here for brandish or to, like, raise, you know, to, like, hoist up, it's simply saying like, you know, the Elden Ring is going to be your banner, essentially, right? You know, it's kind of like, you know, it was basically her like saying the same thing of being like, you know, the Erd Tree, the Order, all that jazz. Like, it's just saying like, you know, that's what you stand for. Now, obviously, for the purposes of the game, the narrative sort of, you know, reframes that by it in the context of us being tarnished and taking it, and you know, we're holding up the Elden Ring because we're basically literally restoring it to its original form and creating our own order with which we will raise and stuff like that. But again, was it necessarily anything about her? You know, I'm gonna break the Elden Ring in the future, right? Because that wasn't what she was planning in the Giant War. Clearly, she was pretty happy with how things were set up. Nah, well, yeah, I'm not with you on that one, Night Owl. I think you could make that argument after imprisonment, sure, right? If you want to make the case that Marika like hijacks everything involving the Tarnished and the Two Fingers and all that stuff and all those plans or whatever, and she's like trying to outmaneuver Ratigan or something like that, sure, I can totally buy that. But I don't. I think people are ascribing too much long-term thinking to Marika. I think whatever plotting that she has in mind, I think there was very much a lot of because of all the things that happen that don't seem to be, you know, factor into her planning whatsoever. Like, this goes back to like people trying to be like, oh no, she plotted to have the assassins kill Godwyn, which drove her crazy to break it. Okay, sure. Yeah, like stuff like that. I think that's just going beyond the scope. I think this very much is kind of like, you know, Marika might have an idea, but then she's got different ideas of plan to do so. Now she's later revisiting those ideas, but now based on the change of circumstances, she's going to rework this into this other idea, right? Like, I think that's my impression of how it's really kind of working out with her. Do I want to bring the thing or not? Nah, we'll keep it in dock for now. Okay, we're good here. Okay, so the only question is, ah, damn. All right, let's move out. I'm gonna go pick up my Sea Glide anyway, so let's go pick up Royce. So we're gonna be traveling around through here and find anything that I could add more reinforcements to. That's gonna be what we do to finish things up here. Well, yeah, presumably, if you're having a bunch of warriors be exiled, and the plan is to bring them back, then yes, obviously, it's to bring them back in the case of some battle, right? That doesn't necessarily mean it has to do with this long-term plan we're proposing. That, oh. Gotta replace that now. So that's what was, that's what we were losing out on. Okay, gotta make another one of you. Gotta remember that. We're missing out on important power. Oh, wait. I don't want it to be nighttime. Let's rest. Again, I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with the Elden Beast. Again, see, with the Giant War, it had nothing to do with infuriating the Elden Beast. It had to do with fighting for the purposes of Marika's order and her kingdom and stuff. So if there's ever a threat, and in the future, you could have an entire army in your... Because again, keep in mind, Marika's entering an age of peace and prosperity under Ratigan with knowledge and all this stuff like that. Okay, well, it's not really going to be a focus on having, like, big, tough military men for, like, Godfrey around, right? Like, that doesn't suit her and her order, right? Those are barbaric and things like that. But hey, if you still want to have, you know, big, scary, barbarian savage man, right? You know, savage warrior man, warlord, in your back pocket... for when you do have an issue where it's suddenly we're going back to war because of X, Y, or Z, right? So, again, I think it could be a lot more... I think there's definitely an argument to say that's a lot more innocuous than I think people would give it credit for. This is pretty fun. Will you be able to stream tomorrow? We're going to see. I may be late. Maybe a really late stream. I've got a lot going on my plate tomorrow, so... Yeah, I think we're good. maybe something on that lower section I can do, but I don't know what I'm doing with that area in general, so. Yeah, sure, I would agree with you. As of the current thing of what we're doing, it's very obvious that America wants, 1, to get herself killed, and 2, to get Elden Beast killed, right? Now, killed, again, does it really die? Yada yada, right? Like, is that, like, essentially, like, you know, are we just carrying around essentially its corpse with the Elden Ring and stuff now? I guess you can, that's like a separate discussion or whatever, right? But for the purposes of what we're saying, yeah, you know, I think that's basically America's 2 main goals, is for her to die and for the Elden Beast to die. Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. It's a lot of stuff, but I mean, I don't think it's gonna be like anything like, oh my god, I can't handle this or anything like that. It's gonna be a lot. Like, it just is, chat. Oh. Oh. Oh, mama. Oh, mamma mia. Chat. That's a lot of reinforcement space. Poor Elden Beast. Yeah, poor Elden Beast. Pyramid Head is here. LOL. Why? Because you're hearing the groan from the frickin' oversized manta rays? Also, she just wanted herself to die. She could order Malekith to... Again, we're talking about after she's imprisoned, Night Scout. Again, I'm talking in the context of after she's imprisoned. Yes, I would agree. Those would be the 2 main objectives that she very clearly illustrates. I'm not saying that everything from what her shattering the Elden Ring was about that. No, that again, this is the point I'm going back to. America snapped. She snapped. There is no grand conspiracy. There is no masterful plan. Everything that happened with Godwyn and the other demigods really got to her. And she just snapped. And she said, I don't care. I don't fuck it. I'm going to be making decisions myself. I don't care if this is, you know, it's the typical thing where someone, you know, someone does something that is self-destructive and harmful. It's not something that's rational. It's not something that's logical. You're not going to be able to, like, you know, kind of reason your way to why the person is doing any of this, right? The entire purpose of it is quite simply because the person wants to feel that they have control. That seems to be very much Marika's motivation in that. She just wanted to feel like she was in control of something, and the biggest thing that she could do that would be a big FU in that moment was to just destroy the ring, right? And that was such a... Now, that didn't help her, right? Clearly did not help her. But that was fine, and then afterwards, when she's in prison and she's got some quiet time to herself or whatever with her and hubby, you know, hubby herself there, that's when she could start thinking about, like, okay, what am I going to do now? And that's where I think the whole, okay, one goal is, I don't want to live like this forever, so please, someone kill me. I don't want to be the vessel for someone else's order and all that bullshit. This is humiliating. And 2, I want to fuck over that goddamn fucking Elden Ring order and all of it, so kill that fucking beast. Yeah, I think this is good. I'm not seeing any problems here. Like, maybe I could make an argument. I would maybe want to put windows here instead, but I don't know. I think I'm very happy. Yeah, I'm very happy with this setup. All right, let's keep going. Because I want to drop these. I know there's something where I can drop these seeds for. God, with all these bulkhead doors I'm leaving open, I hope we don't have any, like, major incidents, you know? I feel something might have to be more premeditated if the Finger Maidens all have the mission to burn at the forge and transport the tarnish to Farum Azula. Putting Farum Azula aside, I was not under the impression that the mission necessarily had to do with America. I mean, as I recall, the entire point was that they didn't know, but that nobody knew what to do when the barrier was being set by Ratigan, and there were no instructions there. It wasn't like, oh well, you know, America had always intended for you to go to the forge and do the burning of the Erd Tree thing, right? So I think that part's I would be a little fuzzy on saying. Oh, it's down there. Okay, we're at the lower dock. Okay, I'm going the wrong way. Poor Ratigan. No, screw Ratigan. Ah! I am sad that I never got to do work on Ratigan's Reign, because there are a lot of cool stuff with fundamentalism and things in the environment I wanted to talk about, right? But I've done Twitter posts, not using the new name, on it, so that's fine, I guess. Make me do this. Alright, now I want you to despawn. Get out! Loki gatekeeping. I'm not gatekeeping. I'm sorry. Whatever else you think about it, I think Twitter and tweets is a lot better than X and X posts, okay? I get it. I get that that's Elon's thing. He really loves the letter X. I get it. You name your son X and all that stuff. But you know what? I think is also celebrity bullshit, personally, right? I get it, right? You're never gonna get me to be okay with that, you know? I just think it's dumb. And you know what? I would be so happy if, you know, for one reason or another, we end up going back to Twitter, you know? Which is a shame, because I actually really like the platform and how it's gone on lately. Do I want that chat? I guess, right? It's just I can't stand the goddamn name. I don't have lithium now! Yeah, call it Twitter X would even be better. I agree. Like, be like, you know, do like the Twitter Extreme or some shit. I just think calling it just X. You know, I can understand the appeal for some, right? Like, you know, because it's a simple, it's short, it's just a single syllable, right? Like, I can definitely see it. But I don't know, I just felt like Twitter just had such an iconic branding to it. I just like that so much better, right? I don't know, I can't get over it. Look in here. Yeah, and everyone is gonna necessarily agree, I'm sure, right? I have been personally very, very happy with. Really? That's it? Okay, I can pick it up though and grab it though, so that's fine. That's fine. That's not the biggest deal. I can make that work. Also, more importantly than that, for me, I just really enjoy being able to be like, okay, here's the filtered words. I don't want to hear this from any of you people. Just get it out of my feed, and just kind of enjoy seeing what all the people in my my space are working on and doing. But I don't use the For You tab, honestly. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, personally. Damn, okay, there is, yeah, so there's a bit back here that could use, reinforcement, for sure. Yeah, and this here, too. Okay. Gosh, chat. Beautiful. Also, the bots increase. It's weird for me. I don't have bots on for Loki, but for the private account that I use just for art and stuff, I get like I feel like I get one like almost every day, like some random like scam, scam like bot account or something. I'm just like, I don't get it. Like what? Because I don't use the other account. Me, like I don't post, I don't follow anyone. Like right, like I think I do follow, but like the point is like I don't like interact at all in any way with that account. Like I literally just use it to read the feed when I want to look at cool art and stuff. So like I have no idea why the hell I get the random bot to report. I don't know how I feel about needing an account to read the site. Like, personally, like, I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to think about that one, right? Because I don't really have like a strong opinion on there, like reflexively. I have so many followers, but they're all bots except one. I'll be honest, I don't pay attention enough to follower accounts to even know. Like, I guess I must have bots, right? Like, I just don't. Again, I don't know. I don't know. I guess because I'm kind of a smaller account anyway. Like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't. Maybe I'm not like. Maybe it's not like that noticeable for me. It's just weird for me because it's like, why is it that the account that actually has like followers and some outreach or something, right? Like, right? Like theoretically, like Loki has more outreach than like my private account, right? That I don't even use that much, right? Yet that's the one that seems to get the bots. I don't get any of the weird scam things happening on Loki. I just block every bot I see. I always do the report because that automatically does the block anyway. No, but it just makes absolutely zero sense to me. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on with Twitch. Like, I have not followed Twitch lately for the longest time. It doesn't matter to me, really. I don't know, I feel like when Twitch started branching out from like doing like just like gaming and helping facilitate Let's Plays and stuff, right? I'm not saying it's wrong for them to have done that, by the way, but I feel like ever since they did that, I feel like they lost control of like, I don't know, what made it interesting to go there and stuff. Because now unless there's like someone like say Vati who's like doing like a watch through on like, you know, first reveal or something on there, like I really don't ever go to Twitch. They don't appreciate lore. I mean, again, that doesn't matter to me. Like, it's a different platform, different needs, right? But it's just, I don't know. I just find, I've not found a lot to be, to make me want to go to Twitch, right? I've had plenty of stuff where I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I really like that I like to go and check on my Twitter and stuff. Like, it's really convenient, very useful. Getting exactly what I need, what I want, like, basically, right? Like, I definitely think Twitter has the more, like, sort of ingenious idea if you just kind of, like, want to like, you know, go through like a hyper fast lots of different content that's not necessarily video stuff. Like I said, I love using my private account just to look at art and crap. I use Twitch to watch VTubers. Are there VTubers? I guess that makes sense. There should be a bunch of VTubers on Twitch, right? I just never thought about that. Because usually I just see the VTuber stuff pop up on my my YouTube, right? Usually it's like, oh my god, look at this clip of Gura or something like that, you know? You had some personal troubles with Twitch, Night Scout? You speaking from experience, or? Watch the niche JP VTubers. It's actually funny. One of the few times I actually randomly decided to watch a niche JP VTuber because I just saw it was it was two twins and stuff. I was like, oh, this is cool. And I happened to tune in to their graduation stream. It happened to be, that was the time they were going to graduate. And the funny thing is, when Fuwamoko got announced, I was like, oh, it's them. Like, the moment I heard them, because they have just such a distinct voice, I was like, ah, I know who you are. Because I was like, I'm so sad they kind of graduated, because I think they were doing it for, like, a game or something, if I recall, or whatever. Like, it was some sort of, like, promo bit, right? So, like, I guess eventually, like, it was just running out and they couldn't justify, like, paying them or whatever anymore. And that was, yeah, that was very interesting for me, because I was just like, huh. I was not expecting that. I see. They hit you right then and there. Yeah, I think the biggest problem with, a lot of the, I don't know if it's necessarily social media, but I think a lot of thing with the online space right now is that a lot of stuff will get done under the hood or something. And, like, it's hard to keep up. Especially when they're not necessarily, like, telling you. Or they're burying it in, like, a giant, like, oh, look, you know, here's the updated terms of service, all the new crap we're doing. Right? So, I think that... I think we can get... Yeah, we'll get rid of all of them. We'll put you in here. Coolio. I think that's what makes things... so much more frustrating than it needs to be, I think, a lot of times. Oh, if they're doing extortion? Yeah, that sucks then, for sure. Like I said, unfortunately, I'm not plugged into Twitch much anymore. I wouldn't say I was ever really that plugged in, right? But I definitely had a bit more... I definitely checked a lot more regularly once upon a time. It's very nice when you could have game streams happen in background while you're working on stuff, right? And you can just kind of, again, especially considering a lot of games, sometimes there's a lot of, you know, downtime and stuff, so you can focus on your own work and just wait until you hear the streamer, like, you know, freaking out or getting excited or screaming or what have you, right? That's when you're like, oh god, what's happened? Oh, that sucks. Sucks to hear, Night Scout. Yeah, I think customer support has to be the weakest thing about websites and stuff. I think customer support in general is just like, it's by its nature sucks. Yeah. So the question would be just what we do with that, right? And then getting the glass here. Okay, cool. I think we have a plan. Yeah, I totally get you. It's shame, right? Especially when you do something for such a long time, and it just kind of they change the game on you. Yeah, I can see how that can piss you off. All right, chat. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, damn. We good. We good. Like, damn. I love this game. I think we're gonna have to end things here though, because I've been going on for a good bit. I think that's fair to say. I could like put some lamps and stuff there in order to have like, you know, it constantly showing off the thing even in the dark. Like that could be done. Like almost show it as like a survey construction type thing, like salvaging operation. We still have quite a bit to go though. We still have, at minimum, we're probably looking in the ballpark of what, like 200? Maybe closer to 250 or 300 glass things we're gonna have to move ourselves out here to. Probably gonna have to put some bases and brakes things in between as well. Like, yeah, this is a lot. Did you ever finish Geofield Chronicle? No, I have quite a few games on my backlog that I want to do. The problem is I'm just not in the mood to do them. Because, like, I'm just exhausted. So I'm just not able to put in the effort to do a proper, like, let's play, like, hey, everybody! We're gonna keep going, right? I don't want to do you guys dirty like that, right? And I want to prioritize getting the Dark Souls lore play and stuff done, if I can. That's, I think, one of my first priorities getting done, outside of doing, like, the generic screenshot stuff that we do, right? So, yeah, I would like to finish Geofield Chronicle, because I did enjoy that game. I would want to finish Eternights, because I was enjoying that game. I think I'm pretty close to finishing both of them. That's the funny part. It's just, like, everything else just keeps kind of, like, putting it off and delaying it. I'm just never in the mood to actually do it when I feel like it's a good day. Yeah, I want to finish the Dark Souls lore play already. Again, I'm never doing another lore play again where I hold myself to such, like, strict standards on how I'm doing it. Like, after this, I'm doing it for consistency for this one, but after that, never again. We're gonna just do casual, like, whatever the time, whenever. Maybe I'll try to keep it on midday still, but, like, however many hours I can do that midday, that's how we're gonna do it. If it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 7, I don't care. We'll do whatever I'm doing so. If, you know, if that's how it needs to be, that's how it's gonna be. Plus, I'm gonna have a new setup too, so I'm hoping that's gonna be, like, a lot easier for me to do that stuff. Right, there we go. Okay, I think that I'm pretty much set up, chat, so I think we're gonna end that there. Alright, save that. You have to set a cliffhanger last episode. Yeah, I know. I feel so bad. Because, like, a lot of people, especially you guys comment, they're like, oh my god, I'm enjoying this so much. I want to see, will the continuation happen? I'm like, no, don't worry. It is happening. It is happening. Soon, DM, right? It's just that I'm just not... It's just like this, you know, that's the problem. I made it so that the stars have to align for that, and I really feel bad. Because it was worked out fine at, like, in the immediate aftermath of reading the book. I could justify taking some time off to work on stuff for the lore play and things like that. But now it's like I just got so many other projects and things I need to work on. It's just, it's overwhelming. Again, you have to give your respects to streamers and stuff like that for the scheduling and the time and, like, everything. And just like, you wouldn't think, again, I'm never going to say this, streaming's not, like, hard labor or anything like that, right? Like, it's a relatively easy, hobby or job to do compared to so many other things in life. But, it's definitely still very, mentally taxing. And so, yeah, I have a lot of respect for, streamers who are, like, you know, they're really good at being able to keep their energy levels up through, like, super long streams like that. Anyway, we're going to be finishing up here now, chat. So, again, thank you guys for helping chill with me. It was great talking to you. We talked about a lot of stuff, right? Again, I think this is another good thing about Subnautica, is that I can do something like that. This weekend, like I said, a lot of stuff is happening. So, we'll see. We'll see if I might not be able to stream tomorrow, depending on how much it is, but I'll try my best. Anyway, be safe, you guys out there. Love y'all. Peace.